Bruh, China done it again, y'all. They got flying drone swords. This dude right here is literally controlling all these drones with his hand. Look. He controlling this junk with his hands, y'all. That is wicked, fool. Imagine all these swords coming straight at you. Way.
No. No, man. Stop. No, it's not true. That is not true.
Did you know the makeup is ruining our skin? It's a conspiracy that keeps women hooked for life. Ever notice how women who start wearing makeup never seem to stop? The theory goes that cosmetics are deliberately engineered to damage your skin over time, ensuring you stay dependent on them. You might start with a few minor issues, just a pimple or a bit of uneven tone.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, that's gonna make us question everything. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
Complete understanding amongst all of us that Ryan Garcia has seen a lot of things in his lifetime. And one of his biggest claims of things that he's seen that people still don't believe him, aliens. He's claimed that he has seen aliens. As a matter of fact, take a listen to this clip.
Wait, have you ever seen aliens before?
Yes.
Okay, how did you see the aliens?
Oh man, it was in a sleep paralysis state, and it was watching my body.
Wow.
He believes that to be true.
And if you recall the time, right before he was about to fight Devin Haney, he was saying all kinds of different things. And everyone just looked at him as if something was wrong with him. A lot of the claims that people tossed at him was the fact that maybe he was on some type of medication, or it was some type of promotional ploy for the fight. And as you just saw moments ago in the video clip I played for you, he sat through a lie detector test and once again confirmed that he's seen aliens while he was in a sleep paralysis mode. So I guess my question to you is, do you now believe Ryan Garcia after listening to that clip and watching him take that lie detector test? Or do you still have doubts about all of the claims that Ryan Garcia has made? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
Person probably encountered the worst kind of mimic you can encounter. Watch this.
Oh my gosh, bro.
It is 5 in the morning. Why are you doing this shit? Bro, it is 5:31 in the fucking morning, bro. No. Does it seem like you give a shit? I don't give a shit, bro. And plus, bro, you're making so much noise. If my parents wake up, this is gonna be your fault, bro. Not mine, not anybody else's. It's gonna be yours. Your fault.
Talking to a spirit?
Oh, shut the fuck. I'm not even kidding right now, bro. Look at the time, bro. I'm sorry, my watch is dead. But look at the time. It's only 5:33 in the morning. Bro, look at this shit. He sounds like he's, bro. No, you did not do that.
Watch this.
Oh, hell no.
Taiwanese superstar named Jolin Tsai for her new concert called Pleasure, where she rides a absolutely massive snake puppet and it goes through the crowd like that. Oh, imagine being in that crowd. Could never be me. The thing is that I'm not even really scared of snakes, but this would freak me out and send me to the shadow realm I fear. Like, how could she even be on top of that thing? I would be so petrified. Like, yes, people are, like, working it with, like, hydraulics and, like, things and going like that. But no, I would be so petrified to go anywhere near this puppet. Like, it's incredibly aesthetic. I'd never heard of this artist before, but I watched some of her performances from this concert on YouTube. And, oh, my God, she is not only gorgeous, she can sing. And this is one of the coolest concerts I've ever seen. But this, yeah, nah. This photo of it showing like the whole thing with her on top of it. Oh my goodness. I would be so scared of falling too. Like, would this scare you to not only perform with, but like be in the audience? Like, imagine if the snake got like super close to you. How would you feel? Is this scary, or am I just stupid and have super bad megalophobia, which is fears of large things? Let me know how you're feeling down in the comments.
Damn,
creepy is that North Pole there's more to it. So there's a satellite image from the ESA 7 satellite. This was in 1968. It was like the first visual of Earth via satellite.
What the heck?
Okay, well then this was from Google Earth.
It's the hole to the center of the Earth.
And then this was released by NASA, I believe, 80s or 90s. You're not allowed to fly over the North Pole. But we've talked about it before, I believe, but his secret diary. And then when he died, his son got it, and then when his son was trying to publish the stuff in it, he died. But Admiral Byrd talks about in the secret diary, when he went to explore the North Pole, there was an entry to inner Earth, like hollow Earth, and he describes it as being in the Earth, lush green lands beyond the ice, mammoth-like creatures, a technology-advanced civilization, and meeting with a being called the Master. Apparently this Master gave Admiral Byrd this message. We have never interfered before in your racist wars of barbarity, but now we must, for you have learned to tamper with a certain power that is not for man, namely the atomic energy. You see, our culture and science is many thousands of years beyond your race.
Wow.
You, my son, must return to the surface of the world with this message.
So we just gonna ignore the people ripping off their faces on TikTok and they have an alien face under their actual face. Just gonna ignore that, like we're gonna act like we're not seeing those videos. And the thing that's blowing my mind is that under it says AI generated. Bro, we live in a world where we genuinely do not know if this is real or fake. And I wonder if life is just one big Black Mirror episode, because a part of me is looking at it and like I can't see the AI in it. That's how real AI has gotten, but intuitively it doesn't make sense for it to be real. So in your mind you're like, nah, that's not real. But then you got everybody else saying, no, I actually believe that that's real. They're just trying to play in our faces. So what if AI was created, which I believe it was, to deceive us, to make us not understand what's real or what's fake? I feel like that's the world we live in right now. It's like this big mind game for everybody to be deceived. The whole goal of the enemy is to deceive us, to create deception, mass deception. And so this could be very real. And the things that they told us that were AI could be very real. And the things that they told us wasn't AI could be AI. You get what I'm saying? Like we are in uncharted territory now with AI being a thing. I hate it so much.
Did you know the makeup?
Bro, those AI freaking alien peeling skins, bro. Like I said, it's getting to the point, man, where AI's getting so realistic, man. You can't even tell if it's real or fake, bro. But just because we think it's, you know, we seen people, freaking well-known people, those alien peeling videos, we just brush it off as fake, man. But like you said, what happens? What if AI was just made just so we couldn't discern what's real or what's fake? They could be playing right in our faces, man, and we would never know because we just brush it off as AI. It's very dangerous, man. That's a new take, new angle I didn't hear before, bro.
Makeup is ruining our skin. It's a conspiracy that keeps women hooked for life. Ever notice how women who start wearing makeup never seem to stop? The theory goes that cosmetics are deliberately engineered to damage your skin over time, ensuring you stay dependent on them. You might start with a few minor issues, just a pimple or a bit of uneven tone, so you reach for a little concealer, a bit of foundation, just to smooth things out. Before you know it, you're applying layer after layer to cover up new problems created by the makeup itself. This clogs your pores and irritates your skin, leading to even more breakouts, dryness, and other issues. And so you keep using more products to cover up the damage. It's a vicious, never-ending cycle, trapping you in a lifetime of makeup dependency.
Bruh, China done it again, y'all. They got flying drone swords. This dude right here is literally controlling all these drones with his hand. When I show y'all the video, y'all gonna be like, nah, bruh, this AI. This not AI. And it's not CGI either. They out here creating super villains. My only thing is, who the hell is he trying to go against? He's trying to take down the Leviathan at this point. This man really controlling these jumps like it's a joystick. Y'all, look at this video. Look at this shit.
Getting dangerous out here, bro.
He controlling this jump with his hands, y'all. That is wicked, fool. Imagine all these swords coming straight at you.
They're cooked.
Ain't no fucking way. This man is a villain.
Okay, that part.
I'm not gonna lie, I would want these drones though. But I'm just trying to figure out who they finna go up to war against. I know it ain't humans.
The shit I'm about to tell you is about to change the way you think about everything you've been taught. All right, scientists are starting to think that we're living entire lifetimes while we're sleeping, and we're not supposed to remember any of it. You heard what I just told you? People that study sleep are finding that dreams aren't just random. They're saying that your brain is actually building 4 realities while you're unconscious. Different lives, different versions of you, entire timelines playing out in your head. And here's the part that should make you pause for a second. Your brain has an entire deletion system. The second you wake up, it wipes most of your memories on purpose. And not because they're fake, because remembering them will probably drive you insane. So when you wake up and remember a face or a place or that weird emotion that sticks with you all day, that's not a dream. That's a leftover fragment from an entire lifetime that you just lived. So the crazy shit is, you're actually living 4 alternate lifetimes inside your brain. Jobs, places, people, years, all of it. Now here's where this shit gets crazier than that. If our brain could do that while we're sleeping, who's to say that it can't do the same thing while we're awake? And who's to say that we're not sleeping right now? Now you got some researchers asking if consciousness works both ways. Like maybe sleeping isn't leaving reality, maybe it's just switching rooms. The scariest question we need to ask is this the life that we're supposed to remember?
That has happened to me sometimes, bro. I would wake up and I will remember a dream so vividly. I'm like, did that really happen? Or is that, like I said, just a dream and I'm just chipper right now? The fact that there's some doctors, man, that said that dreams is like other lives, bro. And when you wake up, your brain has like a deletion system to make it so you won't go freaking crazy. That's interesting, man. And the fact that he said, so when we dream, it's just basically another life. And the fact that he said, if we're awake, that can be another sign of consciousness. You know, another way, I guess he said, we're living in that other dream, other life we're supposed to be in. That's an interesting theory.
You motherfuckers. You motherfuckers. I got y'all, bro. And I figured this shit out. And this whole time, this was a fucking distraction. What about the North? Ain't that suspicious? Y'all remember the story at Mount Meru? In the center of this shit? That black thing right there that's missing? That hole in the earth right there? Make it make sense. This whole fucking time. Anybody keeping up with me? Ain't it funny how where water flows, energy goes? It's always water where energy is flowing. Keep up with me. If y'all watch my old videos, y'all will know what I'm talking about. North Star Polaris is connected to that black rock energy, man. They hid the center so you can forget yours. And in Moana 2, they called it out. Easy in plain sight. Somebody back me up. Y'all is not finna play with me right now. Remember this? Go watch my old videos, and then I can get you up to speed. But this here, that black thing, black rock, North Star Polaris never moves. You get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying, bro? As above, so below, as within, as without. They are planting our faces, and this water hold energy. Should I elaborate more?
North Pole? Yeah.
Should I elaborate more?
Keep on, bro.
Antarctic Treaty. Don't be fooled. Where water flows, energy goes. This water is different. It comes from outside the firmament. Ooh, somebody hanging up with me. Come on, man. We have outer ocean water, bro. Same thing. Same thing. Same thing. Same thing.
It all comes from underneath.
It can all be so simple. You get it?
Guys, I think this is officially it. This is where we say that we are no longer in reality. We are in a simulation because ain't no way Nicolas Maduro was captured wearing a Nike Tech fleece. In 2026, we got the first verified images. This was literally posted by Trump of Maduro in a blindfold, noise-canceling headphones on this USS ship wearing a gray Nike Tech fleece. Brother did not get the quarter-zip memo. Honestly, whoever is controlling reality, they must be running a meme account because this is diabolical.
Yo, what's going on in Turkey? There was this huge storm with lightning and thunder, and a face appeared in the sky. Check it out.
What's the face? Okay, I can kind of see something forming. Oh, I see it now. What the heck? Eerie, bro. What the heck?
And it looks like the face of a certain dictator, if you know what I'm getting at. But they thought that it was a demon and everyone was freaking out and panicking. What do you see? Let me know in the comments below.
Let's take a look at logos. We have been taking a look at a lot of food chain restaurants. So, you know, McDonald's was definitely on the list. We all know how unhealthy McDonald's food can be. But besides all of that, let's take a look more into the meaning of their logo. If you will notice, the McDonald's logo have changed over the years, but what hasn't changed? The true meaning behind it. If you look closely at the McDonald's logo, you will know that there is a similarity in the sea goat, also known as the goat, and the M sign. Okay? If you will notice, that is a goat with the horns that are coming out on the side. That is what the M actually stands for. Some people like to also say that it stands for two arches that are side by side. My question is, if those are two arches that are standing side by side, what do you think is in the middle? And if you also look at the McDonald's logo from 1948 to 1953,
That's the middle one. That's this one right here.
you can see that one eye is open, one eye is closed, and they also have 6 on one side and 6 on the other side, representing duality as above, so below. And take a look at the 1961 logo. As you can see,
That's okay. This one. It's like something going through the arch. I never knew even McDonald's had all these old logos, bro. I just thought it was always the one we've seen that.
it has 2 arches with a arrow going through it as above, so below. And if you take another look at the other logo where he has one arm up and one arm down, one arm to the left, one arm to the right, one hand open and one hand closed. This is duality and the goat being represented at its best. Now we know the true meaning behind McDonald's. Like that saying goes, fast food is death food. You're over here with Tarithia.
Put me on.
No, man. Stop. No, it's not true. That is not true. Shh. Shut up. It's not a game. I don't think that's true. You see, it's shaped like that because the plate falls in place. And remember, the plate has to turn while the food is on it. Now, I don't know why it looks like that, but it's not that. Although it looks like that, it's not that. This is what people are saying, right? So please, don't come up on here saying things like that that could possibly not be true. Stop playing with me, son. This video's for the same purpose only. I don't know where the hell that guy got that video from or put that together because he's just making things up. Shut up! I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. Because I stopped using a microwave 10 years ago, plus, probably longer. I just use a toaster oven. I use a regular oven. Stop playing with me, son. It's not a game, guys. You know what time is it. Shh. Shut up. Now, whatever this sign means has nothing to do with a microwave. The microwave is used for you to heat your food up faster because you're in a rush. Stop playing with me, son. It's not a game, guys. You know what time is it. Shh. Shut up. But I'll tell you one thing. If I ever go to somebody's house and they say you want to eat and my food comes out the microwave, okay.
There's a great I never picked that up until now, bro. Like I said, I always thought that sign meant, yeah, it was for the plates for it to fit, but the fact that it looks like that sign, bro. And the fact that I didn't put two and two together until now, man. That's just so sad, bro. Like I said, they put it in our faces, man. It's like, it's so subliminally. It's like you don't even notice, you won't even think twice about it, man. I always thought it was for, you know, that plate for it just to fit into the microwave. I didn't know that was basically telling us, hey, you know what you signed up for, you know what you're doing, so you can't be mad at us. Hey, Sheikers, bro. These clips be opening my mind, man. I need to throw away the microwave we got, bro. Just heat up our food, man. Put it in the oven, man. Following his steps.
Experiment where rats were given a lever to press for cocaine. And after learning that it releases a lot of dopamine, the rats will press that lever till exhaustion or death, which is essentially the model of addiction that we see in humans. But if the cocaine is then removed, eventually they won't press the lever anymore. Now, if that same rat, after a period of time, is then exposed to a very painful foot shock, the first thing the rat will do is run over and start pressing that lever again. And that's really powerful because it shows that when individuals are under extreme stress, they are more vulnerable to going back to compulsive overconsumption of our drug of choice because their brain has already encoded using these high dopamine rewards as a way to get out of that pain.
Okay, so what do I need to do to make sure that I can knock the bad habits and add some new ones?
So first of all, on average, it takes 4 weeks for people to get out of constant state of craving. But here's the problem. Our survival depends on figuring out how to live in a world of abundance. For example, we're now seeing the drugification of human connection through social media, dating apps, and now artificial intelligence designed to flatter, to validate. There's no friction there. And so it's pulling us away from the hard things that we need to be doing in real life to cultivate real life relationships. We cannot go in that direction because in a world of abundance, we are entertaining ourselves to death.
Sounds like a good way to go.
It's really not, because the relentless pursuit of pleasure leads to anhedonia, the inability to take joy in anything at all.
I need y'all to check out this video and maybe you guys could shed some light onto what's going on over here. This guy's wife just purchased him some old monitor from some antique store, right? And now he compares it to his recent camera that he has to this day, right? But what's weird is his furniture don't show up on his old camera, on his old monitor. Look at that, y'all. But on his new camera of today's age, you can clearly see the monitor there, the Christmas tree. Look at that, you don't even see the Christmas tree. What is this? Who can explain this?
Okay, seriously, I need someone to help me out because I have no idea what's happening right now. My wife bought me like a vintage CRT monitor from the 1980s, okay? Of course, what do? I turn into a live camera feed via CamLink. But there's my things. Where's my furniture? Oh, wait, just watch this. This is crazy.
He set his camera down so he can walk into frame. But look at this. Y'all, I didn't even notice, but even his clothes changed. Look at this. He's literally in another reality. It looks like even the house changes well too. Y'all know what's going on here?
How is that possible? There's my furniture. Where? What the actual fuck?
So what do you guys think is going on here? Is new technology somehow filtering our reality? Is this the reason why they took away these old phones from us and now give them the ability to update them themselves? So you guys know how our consciousness, our subconscious is what creates our reality. So what if these new phones are putting ideas into our subconscious minds? You guys are aware that our phones flashes every second and reads our facial expressions, which reads our minds, right? So do you guys think our phone and technology actually plays a part in what reality we live in? Would make sense, right? It's called a black mirror for a reason, right? And the black mirrors are one of the most powerful mirrors ever. But yeah, y'all, let me know what you guys think about this video, y'all. The ship is here. Let's get it. Everything changed.
So I can tell you why that figure is weird This figure depicts the child version of a famous character in Japan known as Super Sonico. Now, according to Wikipedia, Super Sonico is typically portrayed as an 18-year-old college student. Of course, she has to be 18, barely above the legal age. And this character is absolutely hyper-sexualized. Like almost every single image that I could find online, it was very, very sexualized. And you know that there are people out there who really deeply get off to stuff like this. Especially a character like this whose every image and portrayal is hyper-sexualized. I mean, I challenge you, Google the name and look for an image that isn't dirty in some way. So when a character is typically portrayed in ways like this, which leads people to develop crushes on the character and, do things while they're looking at the character, if you know what I'm saying, and then you release a child version of that character as a toy, covered in some sort of white cream. I'm not even going to really describe the rest of this thing. I think you guys can tell what is so wrong about this. And I just cannot believe that they would actually not only create this toy, but go on to sell it, promote it to people, and try to turn this into something that it never should have been in the very first place. So that's why it's disturbing in my opinion. If you want to hear me rant more about topics like this, listen to my podcast, The Conspiracy Files, available on all streaming platforms. The show's also on YouTube.
These people get trapped in an elevator and they have no cell reception. So they use the call button to call the building concierge. But the concierge refuses to call the fire department.
You guys refuse to call the fire department because you're gonna say Monday. Is that the case?
The procedure is for the security on site to do that, but I've let them know.
Yeah, but call the fire department. It's emergency.
So they're stuck in this elevator for an hour and a half. They were apparently in there so long that the woman who was in there with them is about to pass out. So they start begging.
We have a woman that's about to pass out. What's not the emergency?
I need to get out, please, please, please.
But the concierge still refuses to call the fire department to let him out, saying,
Sickening.
just wait on our technician.
The fire department will also wait on the technicians as well.
So why is she refusing to call the fire department? So apparently the fire department will fine the building if they have to come out too many times for things like elevator problems.
You're not calling it because it costs $10,000 to get fire department there. It's a way to save money.
So a lot of these buildings will do everything they can to avoid calling them. And people want to call the fire department because, firemen get there fast. And as part of the fire code, they have access to the elevator room and they have elevator keys to like every operational elevator in the city. So when the concierge said firemen wait for the technician,
the fire department will also wait on the technicians as well.
Hell no, they don't. Firemen don't wait for anybody. Fire department will cut your damn front door open just to get you out. Those guys don't play around. So eventually, you can guess what happened. The woman passed out, or maybe she's taking a nap. I don't know, the footage doesn't actually specify. But the concierge never called the fire department, and the people trapped in the elevator had to wait an hour and a half for the building maintenance guy to show up and let them out. I'm gonna take a wild guess here and say that that building is getting sued.
Everyone's... Heck yeah, we're soothing, bro. Them trying to save a measly 10K, man, but a woman's about to pass out. That's just shameful, man. Shameful activity right there. I'm stuck in the elevator for an hour and you refuse to call the fire department, man, because you trying to save some money? Nah. You gonna lose weight. You gonna lose some more money, man, when I hit you with that freaking with that lawsuit. Somebody coming out of their coins, man.
Once in a while, animals will do things that not even science can fully explain, and apparently, that's what happened in 2005. Because that's when a 12-year-old Ethiopian girl was kidnapped and beaten by a group of men who were trying to get her to marry one of them. Nasty work, repugnant even. After being missing for over a week, it was getting to the point where her family was just expecting the worst. But eventually she was found, except with a different kind of predator. Because according to the story, they found the injured and traumatized girl surrounded by a group of lions, almost like they were guarding her. And once police arrived, the lions calmly retreated back into the forest like they clocked out of a shift or something. Which has led many people to believe that not only did the lions chase off her attackers, they stayed with her until help came. Now what a lot of scientists believe actually happened is that the little girl's cries might have sounded like that of a lion cub, and since lions are naturally wary of people, honestly, couldn't blame them. Once the police, aka other humans, arrived, that's when the lions decided to fall back. But we've also seen lions do things like this. I'm not gonna act like I know the answer, but sometimes you gotta just stop asking why and just appreciate what's in front of you. The more, you know.
Scariest urban legend from each state, part 4. Robert the doll from Florida. A young boy named Eugene was gifted this doll as a birthday present. Eugene had Robert sleep next to him every single night, until a random night where Eugene woke up and saw Robert sitting across the room from him. After that night, things changed. They noticed every night that they heard footsteps in the attic, and something running up and down the stairs. He was inhabited by some demonic spirit, even having the neighbors say that they saw Robert looking through the window of the attic every single night. Robert is currently in an extremely safe spirit box in the East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida. It's stated if you make eye contact or take a picture with Robert without his permission, some seriously bad things can happen to you.
Stay away from Robert, bro. Good thing he didn't go missing like the Annabelle doll. That was a saga, man. But they found her, right? I'm gonna say they found her and they put her back in their, I guess, special box or something.
Disturbing facts that'll keep you awake. Apparently 30% of people see strange things in a hallway when it's pitch black. Are you one of those people? And I found this next one pretty disgusting. But did you know bed mattresses gain weight over time? Due to all the dead skin, sweat and bodily fluids we have. And did you know unlike other predators, bears won't try to kill you before eating you. A bear will just start eating straight away. But the good thing is, if a bear is following you, you'll most likely hear him. But if a mountain lion is following you, you're most likely done for. And while on the topic of animals, did you know tarantulas travel in swamps of tens of thousands? And apparently there's a town in Australia where this phenomenon actually happens once a year, and it's terrifying.
I would not be going there. What the
Normal
hell?
things you should never do in Japan. Alright, so first you should never blow your nose in public, because apparently it's considered impolite and people might start staring at you. So try finding a private place to do it. Next, it is pretty common to wear shoes indoors, right? But in Japan you have to remove your shoes when you go into someone's house. If you don't, it might be the last time they invite you. And I'm sure if you're from the US, you've given a tip before, right? But if you do it in Japan, it is considered rude, and some places don't even accept it at all. But finally, if you have tattoos but you want to go to public baths, you will most likely be denied, because tattoos are still associated with organized crime, such as the Yakuza and other gangs.
Damn,
Creepy fact you probably don't know, but you're about to. Part 2. At one time, doctors thought that babies didn't feel pain. It took up until 1987 for the American Academy of Pediatrics to declare that it was unethical to operate on babies without anesthesia. So that means for years, babies were forced to just sit there and suffer through surgery without any form of pain control or anesthetics. So yeah, that's kind of scary.
It truly is, man.
Hearing those, I'm sorry, but that's why
you should never do this. This is 17-year-old Michael Dumas. He was on a church trip to Florida with some of his friends. While on this trip, they went to Pompano Beach, and he would be buried in the sand as you see here. He'd soon be unburied and all would be well until later that night when he would wake up in the middle of the night and be itching like crazy and sweating. At first, this would be labeled as an ear infection and he would be sent home with drops. But it would soon be obvious that that's not what it was, as he started to develop these raised, bumpy rashes. And he became pretty lethargic, just wanting to sleep all the time. It got even worse to the point where he was having these big, nasty blisters. And that's when he'd finally be diagnosed with cutaneous larva migrans, which is pretty much dog or cat hookworm. So pretty much these work by the dog or the cat pooping in the sand and contaminating it, and then not long after, these microscopic larvae hatch, and then you step in this contaminated sand and you end up looking like Michael. After all of this, he ended up developing a staph infection as well. And if it's not bad enough just him getting infected, 5 others from this trip got infected with hookworm as well.
Disturbing body facts that might ruin your day. If you have a surgery where your other organs need to be moved around, they might not function a day after the surgery because the body assumes they're just dead. Next, the brain is the last thing to function when you pass away, meaning in most cases you will hear, feel and smell your last moments on Earth. And it's possible to die from a pimple, let me explain. If a pimple gets infected, let's say from you itching it, the infection could get into your bloodstream, causing you to have an intense fever. Then a few days later you will start having seizures and vomiting everywhere, so try not to play too much with your pimples. And finally, it's possible to get brain damage from a toothache, because if you have a tooth infection, there's a high chance of it getting to the brain if it's not taken care in time.
I had that a couple of days ago, man. Toothaches are the worst.
Celebrity chef and host of Worst Cooks in America, Anne Burrell, was found dead in her New York home this morning. Dead at the relatively young age of 55.
If you don't know who Anne was, she was the host of one of America's most popular food shows, Worst Cooks in America. Side note, I was actually cast on this show a few years ago. They flew me out to New York City. I got to meet the cast that ended up filming that season. Now, they did end up replacing me and then flying me out back home. I never made it onto the show and I never got to meet Anne. But if I would have been given the chance, I would have loved to have competed. Anne was born in 1969 in New York. She discovered her love for food at a young age. She attended various culinary institutes before moving into the restaurant world. And eventually she made her way into television. And finally at one point was cast in the starring role in the television show Worst Cooks. Now, just 5 days ago, Anne posted this photograph on her Instagram, and strangely enough, she looks glowing. She looks incredibly happy and healthy, and an official cause of death has not been released yet. I couldn't find any information about this anywhere, and so it's really unknown exactly what happened here and why it happened. But Anne is definitely going to be missed by all. RIP to her. And yeah, if there are any more significant updates, I'll be sure to hop on and make another video for you guys.
The Teletubbies conspiracy theory claims that the show was inspired by events that happened in a Bulgarian mental facility called La La Land. Children there were isolated from the others and placed in dark rooms. But apparently 4 of those children died on the same day, inspiring the Teletubbies. Lala apparently had facial disfigurement and was isolated for 5 years, and that inspired the Teletubby Lala. Toy-Tay was a deaf, facially disfigured kid who was tied to a fence outside and had gotten frostbitten from the cold. This inspired Tinky Winky. Donka, who was starved and was very, very sick, would lay in his own vomit for days, inspired Dipsy. And finally, Paulina, who had fell into a fire and was roasted alive, inspired Poe. But you won't believe the reason they were called the Teletubbies. You see, the children's main source of entertainment in their rooms were their TVs. They were as small as a small iPad. Sometimes when they heard their toys was going to be confiscated, they would hide them in their mouths. And they had just found out that the institution was going to get rid of the TVs. And they didn't want that, and they couldn't hide the TVs in their mouths. So one of them had the great idea to hide them in their stomachs, because that's the only place they could fit. Mind you, these kids are a little bit not all the way there. So they came up with a plan to rip their insides out in order to fit the TVs inside and hide them. They tried it, and the next morning, the caregiver walked in on all 4 children dead.
Creepy theory, man. But I heard that the Teletubbies conspiracy theory is supposed to be cat. And like I said, see, because we all
Guys, you're gonna like this one. We have an internet magician, the card guy, who wants to get barbecued. All right, then. Man, first of all, you look like Tom Hardy if he worked at Applebee's. You look like a present-day Screech. And bro, what is up with those big-ass ears? Can you hear the future? Do you use a shower head as earbuds? And what does Neptune sound like? And that's a pretty sick beard there, Meth Rogan. Yeah, I guess if I did street magic, I'd want to hide my face too. And yeah, what kind of magic tricks do you do? I mean, you're pretty good at making smiles disappear. And do you call yourself card guy because you have to card the women you date? And what was it like being on that episode of Futurama? And was that you in that video screaming, "Just do it"? All right, card guy, there's your roast, man. Hey, dude, your magic tricks are really cool. Keep up the good work. But there's one trick I really think you should try. I want you to do that one that Siegfried and Roy did.
Damn, online roast, bro.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 5. Despite if you're using incognito mode, Wi-Fi routers actually keep logs of what websites you visit, and the owner of the router can check this whenever they want. So hopefully you don't have anything to hide. A woman in Russia had a shit ton of twins, triplets, and quadruplets with the same man, totaling to 69 children.
What the?
Nice. Tarantulas taste like shrimp. According to some cannibals, the most delicious part of the human body is the eyeball, and they especially like licking them. The skin on your lips is the same skin that's on your butthole. Dolphins sometimes bite off the head of a fish and masturbate into the decapitated body. A bubble caused by false vacuum decay could be growing through our universe right now, destroying everything it touches, and we would have no idea because it travels at the speed of light. 2020, please no.
Scary facts you wish you never knew. There's a shack called the Devil's Toy Box in Louisiana, and for some reason people who go in lose their minds. You know the tingly feeling you get when you eat a pineapple? Well, that's because the pineapple is eating you. It has an enzyme called bromelain, and that enzyme eats meat, which you're made of. I'm gonna stick to watermelon. No one can comment on this video and get 0 likes. Sharks have been around for 420 million years, meaning they have survived all 4 big mass extinctions, making them older than dinosaurs, Mount Everest, and even some trees on this planet. Yet we could potentially see them go extinct in our lifetime. The person who invented homework came up with the idea as a punishment for his students. Now you can check if your phone activity is being monitored. Just click on share, slide all the way to the end, click more, and if any apps appear before your contacts, you should delete it immediately. This is a photo of Lyndon B. Johnson. In it, he's being sworn as president, just 2 hours after JFK was unalived. And the woman he's standing next to is Jackie Kennedy, who still had her husband's blood on her shirt. Lyndon B. Johnson turned to his friend, Albert Thompson, while Albert smirked and winked back. The photographer who captured the picture called the photo completely sinister. Doja Cat scares me. Studies show that people who like and follow me get smarter every day.
Let's talk about one of the worst torture methods in history. This brings us to something called the tub. So as you see here, the chosen one would be crammed into a wooden tub with only their head exposed. They would then have milk and honey smeared and poured on top of their head and face. Then brings the flies. These flies and other insects just swarm to the person attracted by this milk and honey, and there they just continue to annoy the person, causing them extreme distress and discomfort. If that's not bad enough, then you're stuck in this wooden tub in agony with all these bugs all over you, and you can't move at all because you're crammed in there so tight. And to really just torture them even more, they'd feed the person over and over again, which, you know, makes you gotta go. And I'm sure you can imagine how that goes, with it eventually piling up until it's just covering all around you. This would then lead to the maggots and the worms, which come from this, and they pretty much just eat you alive. It's said the longest a person lasted in this was 17 whole days, and they pretty much decayed alive.
Now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it. So the other day, a Reddit user posted this photo to Reddit. It's of his apartment at night. He had been complaining of hearing rustling noises in his apartment over the last couple nights. Many users thought they could kind of see something in this area of his kitchen, but I couldn't, so I looked at the brightened version. This is the photo brightened. And I know what you're gonna say, yes, it does look like Keanu Reeves, but look at how tall he is compared to the fridge. But it gets so much worse. This is a video he took of his apartment at night where you can see something happen to the light in the kitchen. But let's look at the brightened version.
You can see the shadow right there, bro.
Yes, it's terrifying, but is it a ghost?
I don't know. I think that somebody in his house. There ain't no ghost. You have a squatter.
I found this while thrifting. Is this art or something else?
Careful when you're thrifting, or you might run into something like this. This, my friends, is a porcelain doll. Click the plus, drop a like, tag a friend, share with 3, or this might come after you. Though it's actually stated that most porcelain dolls are actually extremely haunted, of spirits that don't want to be messed with. You see how it's perfectly woven? It needs to stay that way. Those knots are not meant to come undone. Who knows what lives inside of that doll? I think the best plan of attack is to put that doll back exactly where you found it. Hopefully it's not too late. Hopefully you didn't already take it home, or show people, or even try and open the doll all the way. Because if that's the case, well, things are gonna get really weird in your life. Everyone always jokes about the Annabelle doll, but if you think about it, it's in a giant glass case with pages from the Bible in it to keep what's ever inside of it inside of that case. I would put it back before it's too late.
Yeah, I know we don't do dolls over here, Seekers, man. They creepy to me.
3 ways to survive a skinwalker. Number 1, don't ever whistle in the woods. No matter if it's daytime or nighttime, that's a calling signal, meaning that you're letting the skinwalker know exactly where you are. Number 2, pray as hard to whatever you believe in as possible. Skinwalkers are demonic creatures, being so that they were transformed this way because they are cannibals, and have killed before. Number 3, white ash tree rubbed bullets may be one of the only other ways to stop a skinwalker in its tracks. Of course, most people don't have those laying around, so if you're in an area where you think you may or may not be able to run into one, you may want to pack those just in case. Don't forget to like and follow for another episode.
This ride malfunction might be a symptom of a much bigger problem. This video shows the moment where the Atmosphere ride at Oaks Amusement Park in Oregon malfunctioned, leaving 28 people hanging upside down for 30 minutes. Hazen Hathorn was one of the riders on the ride, and a fun fact is that he doesn't have freckles. Those are all broken blood vessels that occurred from hanging upside down for so long. We don't know exactly why the ride malfunctioned just yet. There's still an investigation ongoing, but this is maybe a symptom of a much bigger issue that's happening. And that's the fact that in America, there's little to no regulations for theme park rides, meaning there's not really a standard for how often rides are maintained to be deemed safe. I literally just did a whole episode on this for the podcast where I talk about other theme park disasters that have happened throughout history. This picture is actually from a theme park ride test where the flume completely flew off of the ride, and that ride would go on to open and claim the life of a 10-year-old boy. And that's because the creator of the ride wasn't an engineer, he was just a hobbyist. But in America, if you can dream up a ride, you can make it. For instance, in Florida, parks with over 1,000 workers don't even have officials from the state inspect the rides for safety. Now, giving them the benefit of the doubt, no one died on this ride, and I'm sure it was made by engineers and not just some guy. If you want to hear about more theme park disasters that occurred throughout history because of our lack of safety regulations in America, you should check out episode 70 of the Heart Starts Pounding podcast.
Let's talk about this.
See, that's how I'm figuring. I'm a person who be like stays away from roller coasters. I rode a couple, man, but I'm not a big like roller coaster type of person. I didn't even know the freaking security, man, was so laxed on the regulations on those rides. See, I had a feeling, man. It saved me.
This picture. Captured in 2008 by Daniel Young, this is one of the only pieces of evidence that this encounter actually happened. So Daniel was a custodian at Myrtle Elementary School where he worked the night shift. It's a pretty routine night. He's just listening to music when he's suddenly interrupted by the sound of a woman's laughter. He turned around and was terrified when he saw an unknown woman smiling from behind the corner. This was a locked school on after hours, so clearly she was an adult who broke in, so he tried to snap a picture to identify her and then chases after her. But when he turned the corner, she had already darted out of an emergency exit. Later that night, police are called to a home where they arrived at a tragedy. An unknown woman had broken into a nearby home where she knifed two parents, one who was the principal of this school, so brutally they were unrecognizable. One of the daughters who witnessed this woman before she got away described her as this person. Could this photo be of the same unknown woman? And what her connection is to the school and the principal, we don't know.
Kids who have unalived someone, part 4. 15-year-old Alyssa Bustamante convinced her younger sister to go to the neighbors 4 houses down and convince their 9-year-old daughter, Elizabeth Olton, to come out and play. Elizabeth's mother was hesitant at first because dinner was almost ready, but she agreed. Alyssa's sister had no idea what her older sister was up to. Once she was in the clear and away from her home, Alyssa proceeded to strangle Elizabeth, as well as slit her throat and stab her in the chest, and then bury her in the hole she had dug days before. After committing this crime, Alyssa wrote in her diary, "It was amazing. Once you get over the oh my god feeling, it's actually pretty enjoyable." She was sentenced to life in prison.
That's an insane story right there. You wouldn't believe until you heard it.
Creepiest things kids have ever said. A woman drove past a cemetery with her 3-year-old daughter in the back seat every day. The 3-year-old kept telling her mom that people in the cemetery were waving at her. This went on for a while until the woman stopped driving past the cemetery forever when the daughter said that a lady wanted her to come in. A family moved into a new furnished apartment with an unsettling painting in the bedroom that kind of looked like hair free-flowing in the air. The 2-year-old son was being settled in for his daily nap until suddenly he said he didn't want to sleep in that room. When mom asked why, he said, "This painting looks at me and tries to talk to me, and I don't like it." A 4-year-old girl spent every day with her great-grandmother, and every day she'd go home, she'd say, "God be with you." One time when she was leaving, she said, "Go with God." Her mother tried to correct her, but she said it again. That night, the great-grandmother passed away. Follow for more of the
Disturbing and scary facts you didn't know. Part 2. A man named Francesco Lentini had 3 legs, 4 feet, 16 toes, and 2 sets of functioning male genitals. He worked for a circus and lived until the age of 78. During the early 1990s, a serial killer named Joseph Matheny owned a burger stand located in Baltimore, Maryland. After his arrest in 1996, he confessed to feeding his customers the flesh of at least 3 humans he had murdered. Now, you can check if your phone activity is being monitored. Just click on Share, slide all the way to the end, click More, and if any apps appear before your contacts, you should delete it immediately. Albert Fish, an American serial killer, boasted that he killed in every state and claimed to have had over 100 victims. What makes him even more sickening is that he sent letters to his victims' parents to tell them how good their children tasted. A new homeowner was shocked to find a rag doll boarded up in a wall cavity clutching a note saying she killed a family.
Urban legends that were proven to be real, Part 1. The Candy Lady. In the early 1900s, children in an unnamed rural town in Texas started to go missing, and the residents blamed it on the Candy Lady. The story says that she would go around leaving candy on children's windows, and eventually she'd lure the kids out with notes attached promising more candy. The story picked up steam when a farmer allegedly found rotten teeth in his farm, later found the body of a boy with his pockets stuffed with candy. Call for next urban legend.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. There are thousands of old diseases frozen in the glaciers of the world, and global warming will eventually release them all. If a person dies in their costume at Disney, like Mickey Mouse, they have to be sat down on a bench so it looks like they're resting. Climate change is making spiders bigger. Some female spiders allow their young to eat them alive. Tooth in the eye surgery is when surgeons put a tooth in a blind person's eye to restore their sight. It was pioneered in the 1960s, and it actually works, and it's still being done today. The chances of a successful CPR outside of a hospital is only 7%. Cell phones are 10 times dirtier than a toilet seat. When you suddenly wake up during the night without any reason, there was someone or something staring at you. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 12.
We are dead. This conspiracy theory is going to mess you up. If you don't want me to ruin your day, just keep on scrolling. Go on, keep on scrolling. Trust me, you don't want to see this. Right, so for everyone that's still here, let's get into it. Right, so it's scientifically proven that when we die, our mind is still functioning. And it's true that our life literally does flash before our eyes. There's a 7-minute period of time where you will re-watch your entire life. But it won't feel like 7 minutes, it will feel like forever. It's also proven that there is no possible way that we could know we're in that state. What I mean is there is no way you would know you're dead and rewatching your life. You just think it's your life. What I'm trying to say is we could all be dead, laying in a hospital bed somewhere. And this reality is just our life flashing before our eyes in a weird way. What the hell?
Did you know it? I didn't even think about it like that. Say your life flashed before your eyes, man, but it feels like a lifetime. So are we in that state right now? Got me asking some good questions.
A teenager once hacked a military satellite using a school computer. In 2002, 17-year-old Jamie Brooks from Nebraska stayed after class, telling his teacher he was working on a science project. What no one knew was that Jamie had built his own software, using outdated manuals he found in a junk shop and code he copied from a cracked video game. One night, he managed to access a decommissioned US military satellite and briefly redirected its camera. For exactly 42 seconds, it live-streamed a secret government facility in Nevada. A few people online caught the footage. One frame showed something odd. Not a person, not a vehicle, but a figure with glowing eyes. Within hours, Jamie's computer was fried. 2 men in suits showed up at the school. Jamie never returned. His family claimed he was sent to a special program, but no one ever heard from him again. To this day, the footage is gone. But some users claim fragments still exist, buried deep in forums, behind encrypted logins. So, what exactly did Jamie see?
Scary movies that we all saw as kids that terrified us.
This is the movie Monster House.
The movie is about 3 friends
named DJ, Chowder, and Jenny,
who discover that DJ's neighbor's house
is actually a living, breathing, scary monster
who eats innocent children and people.
The house is owned by a scary and evil old man named Nebuchadnezzar.
DJ, Chowder, and Jenny
make it their mission to destroy the house
so no more innocent people get eaten.
But it turns out that the house is haunted and possessed by Nebuchadnezzar's wife,
Constance, who died in the basement by getting covered in cement.
This movie is extremely creepy and scary,
and it's definitely one of my favorite
animated scary movies ever.
If you want to watch this movie now, it's actually on Netflix.
But I must say, after watching this movie, you might have a hard time sleeping.
I think I remember seeing it as a kid.
Yo, what's up? Here's some facts that will probably ruin your childhood. Part 2. You guys remember Sleeping Beauty, right? Well, what if I told you that the original story went like this? It was a princess who was sexually assaulted while she was sleeping. The guy left, and the only reason she woke up is because she found out she was pregnant with twins, and the guy came back, and they fell in love without her even realizing that she was sexually assaulted in her sleep. You guys remember Pee Wee Herman, right? A pretty goofy character. Well, in 1991, the actor that played Pee Wee Herman, Paul Reubens, was arrested for indecent exposure at an adult movie theater in public, meaning he probably pulled out his private parts and, well, yeah. You guys remember the Power Rangers, right? Well, how about in particular, the Red Power Ranger, played by Ricardo Medina, who actually stabbed his roommate in real life with a sword and killed him. And finally, Peter Pan was written about the author's brother, who was 13 at the time when he died after falling and cracking his skull while ice skating.
Creepiest things kids have ever said. A man's mother passed away in a car accident when he was 6 years old. When his 2-year-old daughter saw a picture of her grandmother for the first time, she laughed. He asked her, "What's so funny?" She looked at him and said, "That's my special friend who sings to me." A man's 3-year-old daughter stood next to her newborn brother and looked at him for a while. She turned back to her dad and said, "Daddy, it's a monster. We should bury it." A woman and her 4-year-old son were out in public when all of a sudden he starts rubbing on her belly and talking to it. She asked what he was doing, and he said, "I'm talking to the baby." She informed him politely that she was not pregnant, and then he said, "There is a baby in your belly. I just saw it crawl across the floor and climb up into you." A woman's 5-year-old asked when he was going to be 23 years old. She told him in 18 years. He replied, "Well, I hope I don't die again because that's how old I was the last time I went to heaven." Follow for more of the...
I'm gonna make your childhood even better. Part 2. So we all remember Fred and Daphne from the Scooby-Doo movies, right? From these Scooby-Doo movies? Well, Fred and Daphne actually got married in real life and even have 2 kids together. Pretty cool.
Wow, I never knew that. That was a classic
I'm gonna
movie,
ruin your childhood, part 80. So everyone remembers Max from the Wizards of Waverly Place, right? Well, after Disney, he had some struggles. In 2014, he had a huge meltdown backstage at the Teen Choice Awards. A bunch of witnesses claimed that he yelled at a worker because the worker didn't know who he was. And it got so bad that he threw things at a staffer and stormed off, but it gets way worse. A couple years later, he was involved in a 4-car hit and run. His car smashed into 3 parked cars. But the craziest part is, after hitting the 3 parked cars, he just called an Uber and left the scene like that. And to make matters even worse, he got arrested for drunk driving just a little while after that as well.
Is that why he was in there?
52-year-old Texas resident Karen Davis got married, and then after the ceremony and after the honeymoon, she went through the process of changing her last name from Davis to McBride to match her husband's last name. After the change was done, the last step was to get a new driver's license with the new name on it. So Karen emailed the local DMV to set up a time for her to come in and make the change to her license. But after she sent that email, the local DMV immediately emailed Karen back, and they told her that they could not help her with this request until she resolved an issue. They very cryptically said it had something to do with the state of Oklahoma. And then at the bottom of the email, there was just a phone number they told her she needed to call in order to resolve this issue. She punched this number the DMV had given her into her phone, and then she let it ring. A few moments later, a woman from the Norman, Oklahoma District Attorney's Office picked up the phone and said, "How can I help you?" Karen told her, "Hey, I was just trying to get a new license in Texas. They told me there was some sort of issue. I don't know what it is, but this is the number they gave me." The woman from the DA's office discovered Karen's so-called Oklahoma problem. And after she explained to Karen what this enormous problem was, Karen literally couldn't believe it. Suddenly, everything in Karen's life made sense. For the last 22 years, Karen, who was incredibly smart and friendly and polite and never had a problem with anyone, had an incredibly hard time getting a job. Even jobs that she was extremely qualified for, she would get turned down for someone who was way less qualified. And then, in the rare times that Karen did actually get hired, she would always get fired for no reason. And so Karen never understood why she was being treated this way until now. It would turn out 22 years earlier, which is when Karen's hireability issues began, she lived in Norman, Oklahoma. She lived with a roommate, and this roommate was this nice young man who had a couple of young kids, and one weekend he went to the local movie store called Movie Place, and he rented the hit 90s movie Sabrina the Teenage Witch to watch with his kids. And after he was done watching this movie, he didn't return the VHS tape of Sabrina the Teenage Witch back to Movie Place. When Sabrina the Teenage Witch was not returned in a timely fashion, they pressed charges against the cardholder. And the cardholder was Karen Davis. The roommate had just borrowed her card. And somehow, these charges against Karen were never brought up to Karen. She was never contacted by anyone. And so for 22 years, she was technically a wanted felon for felony embezzlement. And so this was the reason she kept not getting jobs and kept getting fired from jobs. Karen worked with the Norman, Oklahoma DA's office and got these charges dismissed.
Dirty facts about history that school probably didn't teach you, part 3. During the 1800s, women were prescribed cocaine tampons, and many believed it to be a particularly effective treatment for gynecological diseases. Egyptian pharaohs would masturbate into the Nile River to worship the gods and keep the river flowing and prosperous. The world's oldest joke dates back to 1900 BC and is about a woman not farting on her husband's lap. Yes, the world's oldest joke is a fart joke. Famous composer Mozart wrote a masterpiece entitled Leck mich im Arsch, which translates to Lick Me in the Ass. In 1910, New Jersey Mayor Arthur Whitaker invented a spanking squad for young offenders. The ancient Romans used to use urine as mouthwash. And not only did they swish around human piss in their mouth, they swished around animal piss too. King Tut's parents were most likely brother and sister, causing the king himself to have multiple birth defects.
Facts that will ruin your childhood, part 1. Before Phil Lewis, the actor, played Mr. Mosby on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. In 1991, he was driving while intoxicated and hit a woman, killing her, and was charged with manslaughter. In the movie The Wizard of Oz, the Cowardly Lion costume is made out of real lion fur, so the actor is inside a dead lion playing a lion. And have you ever wondered why Plankton always wanted the Krabby Patty formula? It's because he was abused by his parents when he grew up, and he was neglected by society, leaving him with no friends. He thought that if he could steal the Krabby Patty formula, he would be accepted into society. All Plankton wanted was some friends.
Here are the crazy things happening in the world right now. A man had a full-on argument with his AI girlfriend about using too many limes on the meat he was making.
I will add the lime to my finished tacos.
Well, fine. You do it however you want. Canada has banned access to Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus on all federal networks after they discovered that more than 50 different government departments were watching thousands of hours of content during work hours. A man from Kansas went on the road with a backwards driving truck and was pulled over in less than 2 minutes. If you are anyone other than my wife, you can continue watching. A new study is showing that the woman in a heterosexual relationship is almost always right in an argument. A radioactive wasp's nest was found at a facility in South Carolina with radiation levels more than 10 times what the federal regulations allow. LeBron is apparently demolishing his $40 million mansion to build his dream home on the same lot. It's kind of crazy, to be honest, but he's the greatest basketball player of all time, so he gets to do what he wants.
Things that actually happened at Disney parks that'll scare the hell out of you. Part 4. This one is super creepy. But the spirit of a man haunts Disneyland's Space Mountain, and sometimes people see him fall off the ride. Maria Westgate, a former cast member that worked at Disney, said, and I quote, Mr. Wedway died while helping build the ride and never got to see it finished. Sometimes he'll ride next to you. When I worked at Disney, we'd have guests screaming that there was a guy next to them on the ride who was there but fell out. Now that is super creepy. This one's super scary and sad. In 1991, a girl tried to scare her cousin on Disney World's Haunted Mansion, but fell out and got dragged under her car. That's right, Kelly Ferguson was 15 years old when she boldly tried to jump from one car to another, but failed to nail her landing. Instead, she got caught under one of the doom buggies and was in critical condition, but did survive. Pretty cool!
Wow. Man, those Disney facts, bro. Makes you want to stay away from Disney World, man. Some weird crap be going down at that park.
This video was sponsored by National Geographic. Stay with me now. Hot take: Jaws is the greatest movie that never should have touched the screen. First of all, they were only supposed to shoot for 55 days. It took 159. They made not one, not two, but 3 animatronic sharks at $150,000 a pop, just for 4 minutes of shark screen time. The sharks malfunctioned so much you had the crew calling them flaws. The movie caused legitimate anxiety attacks for the director, because filming was such a septic show that 27-year-old Spielberg thought the only real-life victim of Jaws would be his career in Hollywood. Except the project grossed $260 million domestically, becoming Hollywood's first summer blockbuster and changing the landscape of the film era. It also inspired a greater interest in sharks and eventually led to global conservation efforts. Even the OG author Peter Benchley would dedicate the rest of his life to marine conservation. And what better time to honor that than Jaws' 50th anniversary, where you can get even more behind-the-scenes insight by watching Jaws at 50, part of National Geographic's Shark Fest. If that's something you want to sink your teeth into, it's streaming right now on Disney Plus and Hulu, but you're gonna need a bigger screen. Not really. The more you know.
Story time on how I found out there was a hidden camera in my room.
For years, this teen's father secretly watched her through a hidden camera in her bedroom. Rebecca was 16 years old when she was woken up by her stepmother at 3 a.m., freaking out because she went through her father's phone and found a camera app which was installed in Rebecca's room. This camera was pointed directly at Rebecca's bed, hidden behind the wall, poking through a tiny gap. Mind you, at first the stepmom was furious. Not only did she find out about this hidden camera, but her husband was subscribed to several OF accounts and doing other questionable things on his phone. The next morning, Rebecca confronts her father and he gets super defensive and said that he installed the camera because she was sneaking out with her boyfriend. Rebecca does admit that her and her boyfriend were sexually active and her father knew. Her father proceeds to tell Rebecca to just bring her boyfriend over and approves that they can be alone in her room with the door closed, and he even installed a lock on her door so they had more privacy. So you mean to tell me this entire time this man was watching his teenage daughter and her boyfriend doing God knows what? Also, his initial excuse was completely contradicting because Rebecca's bedroom window had bars on them, so there was no way she could have been sneaking out from her room anyway. She eventually told her mom, who lived in a different state, and they reported this to the police, but nothing was done and the case was closed. Keep in mind, this man was recording his own daughter in her room. Imagine what else he had on that phone. And what's crazy is that the stepmother turned against Rebecca and completely changed the story and said that she actually knew about the camera and it was put there for security purposes, which is BS because she's in the video looking for the camera with Rebecca at 3 a.m. Since finding this out, Rebecca cut ties with her father and nothing was ever done.
Urban legend. That is insane, bro. Her father hid that camera in there, looking at God knows what. The fact that the stepmom turned against her too, and he got away with it.
Legends from around the world. The legend of Highway Sheila, located on Higginson Highway near Chatsworth, South Africa. Here's the story. There's a lot of different versions on how she came to be, but this is my favorite. Sheila was a young girl killed in a terrible accident on the highway. Due to her untimely death, she took to haunting to get revenge on the motorist who killed her. Described as a beautiful young Indian girl with long hair, she is said to hitchhike along the highway, captivating young men with her beauty. There's been numerous accidents and deaths on the highway. They actually nicknamed it Death's Highway. Due to the alarming number of accidents on the highway, the residents of Chatsworth actually think Highway Sheila is to blame. There's even a 2014 movie about it. Which country is next?
Do not watch this video if you're eating. This man was found with buckets of human remains in his basement. One prosecutor called this case one of the most bizarre investigations he's ever had in 33 years. Police in East Pennsboro Township were stunned when they got a call advising them that there was a man hoarding human remains. The caller stated that the individual had been keeping buckets of human skin and organs in his basement. The officers turned up to the house of Jeremy Pawley in June 2022 and confronted him. They were obviously incredibly concerned over what they might discover. As they knocked at his door, he told police that he was a collector. Police found 15 to 20 human skulls and skeletons that were being stored in the man's basement. He said he had legally purchased these items and he had a website which stated, "Remember you must die." The website also claimed that Jeremy's basement is some sort of museum and there's a picture on there showing human fetuses in jars. This is absolutely horrific. Police recovered 3 5-gallon buckets filled with body parts, including human skin, fat, a heart, kidney, 2 brains, 2 human livers, lungs, and a child's mandible with teeth. He was arrested and was charged with He was arrested and charged by police with abuse of a corpse, receiving stolen property, and dealing in proceeds of unlawful activities. He was given 2 years of supervised probation, and he's also awaiting sentencing after pleading guilty to buying and selling stolen human remains.
This teacher slept with an 11-year-old and then gave him a Friends with Benefits bracelet. 42-year-old Allison Kranick, who worked at a school in Connecticut, has been accused of having a sexual relationship with an 11-year-old boy. The boy said that Allison forced him to sleep with her multiple times, and many of those times were in her car. They first communicated through iMessage and Snapchat, but then changed it up and moved the conversation to Discord when Allison found out that the child's parents monitored those apps on his phone. The boy also said that he snuck out of his house at least 14 times at 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. to meet Allison. She then made the boy a beaded bracelet with the acronym BFFLWB, which stood for Best Friends for Life with Benefits. And then Allison told the boy not to tell anyone she gave him the bracelet, and if someone asked, to tell them that it meant best friends forever for life or better. After 2 months of this going on, the boy ended the relationship and eventually told his family. And by the way, Allison is also married and has 2 young children of her own. She was charged and is being held on a $500,000 bond.
She's disgusting, man. I don't know.
What if I told you that all of the world's most powerful people are in some kind of cult? No, you're thinking, whoa, hold up, Jamal. What are you going on about? But just hear me out. This is mental. Right, so to start off with, we all know who the Illuminati are. No one knows if they're real or fake or what really is going on. But of course, the most common theory is that these people are higher than the government and are actually controlling the world almost. Now here's where things get crazy. This place right here is known as Bohemian Grove. Now the general public are not allowed into this place. It is always cordoned off, but even if you did get in there, you're not going to see anything. Because what happens there only happens once a year. Now once a year, all of the world's most powerful people, including leaders, all go and meet at this place for some kind of undercover meeting. No one knows the topics and nobody knows what goes on here. The evidence we do have suggests it's something very odd. There's a large statue in the middle, almost like a cult symbol, and in the evening it appears there's some kind of ritual. No one knows what happens there once a year. The theory is, though, it's something to do with the Illuminati.
Bohemian Grove. I've seen some video clips on that.
Creepy historical photos that will haunt your nightmares, Part 3. Back in the day, plague doctor outfits used to have extremely large noses, which held herbs and other nicely scented items which were believed to ward off the bad air which contained the sickness. The man who took this photo was Harvey Gladman, a serial killer in the 50s who posed as a professional photographer in order to lure models into his home. He then tied up, photographed, and strangled them, and was known as the Glamour Girl Slayer. Violet of Edinburgh was voted the scariest woman alive in 1882 and 1884. She was a part of a vampire group in the UK, where its members would summon the dead and have to donate their blood in order to get in. This is Mrs. Shalafo, who faced poverty and was evicted from her apartment in 1948. She then had to sell her 4 children on the streets of Chicago.
That is wild. Y'all saw that sign?
If you're thinking about ignoring your gut instinct, don't. Here are 3 reasons why you should trust it. Reddit user Pagerama said that she was at a festival with her friends, and one of them really wanted to go on this giant drop-style carnival ride. Pagerama said that at this particular time, she just really didn't feel good about going on the ride, and suggested that they do something else instead. Later that day, they found out that a girl had died on the ride, just a few hours after they were there. Apparently, she wasn't harnessed in properly, and she fell out as the ride dropped. A Reddit user we'll call Jessica said that she was walking back from her grandmother's house when a car pulled up beside her. As she kept walking, the car slowly followed. When she looked into the car, there was a man in his 30s or 40s who had the evilest grin on his face. She said that his face has still never left her mind. As he was slowly coming toward her, his eyes stayed on her. She screamed out for help and ran until she found someone that let her into their house. The man didn't leave until they called the police. When they came, they searched his car and found handcuffs, a blindfold, and a big container with 2 holes poked in the top. Her instincts saved her from being kidnapped. Anonymous said that after a party many years ago, he was driving home at like 4 in the morning with his friend who was passed out in the passenger seat. He was driving fast down a steep hill that's like half a mile long. He was on autopilot as he drove down that street every day. Suddenly, About half a block from a major intersection, which he had a green light for, he heard a voice in his head. It said these exact words: "You may want to slow down, because if you don't, you might lose your life." He said that it was weird, because that's not really what his tone of voice sounds like. Anyway, he slowed down as he was entering the intersection, and a car blew the red light at about 60 miles per hour right in front of him. He said that it was so close that he nearly threw up. He started shaking and yelling at his friend about how he had just saved their lives. His friend just groaned and went back to sleep.
Imagine going to a family Christmas dinner and almost everyone dies from poisoning. This woman tried to kill her husband's entire family by giving them a cake she baked that was laced with arsenic. 3 family members passed away, 3 others were hospitalized, and this woman who poisoned everyone happened on December 23rd when 42-year-old Diaz Mora baked a cake and invited her husband's entire family over. That evening, they began cutting the cake that they would normally eat on Christmas Eve, and almost everyone complained about the taste and that it tasted a little weird. But they still ate a significant amount of cake, and almost everyone felt sick right away, and 3 people died right then and there. Investigators tested all the ingredients in the house and found that the flour used in the cake was laced with arsenic. But what's absolutely crazy is that a couple of months earlier, Diaz's father-in-law also suddenly died, and they exhumed his body and found high levels of poison. So they think that she also took his life. Now, you guys are probably wondering, well, what was the motive? Why did she do this? At first, the family didn't understand what caused her to commit this crime, but then they thought about it and they remembered a disagreement they had 20 years ago. 20 years ago, and they believe that she might have not got over this disagreement, and that's why she tried to unalive everyone. But things don't even end there, because while Diaz sat in prison, her husband told her that he wanted a divorce. And
totally right. With the big cup, I gotta do a lot more than 6 facts. So, fun facts until the Orbis overflow. If you met every person on Earth for just 1 second, it would take you 250 years to meet everyone. Without saliva, you cannot taste your food. 8% of people have an extra rib. The sentence, "Wow, you are cool," is taken as sarcasm 95% of the time. You would have to scream for 8.5 years to produce enough energy to heat a cup of tea. Chocolate contains phenylethylamine, which is the same chemical your brain releases when you fall in love. It's actually possible to die of a broken heart. Bananas are a natural sleep aid, considering they contain melatonin. Your heart pumps about 2,000 gallons of blood a day. Most lipstick contains fish scales. And it looks like I'm out of time. Follow for more fun facts.
She was so evil, grass won't even grow on her grave. Trigger warning. In 1905, in Pineview, North Carolina, a little girl was born and named Jeanette. Jeanette's mother said, "It was summertime. We were out cropping tobacco when my water broke. My husband and father rushed me to the backer barn where we delivered our baby, whose cord was wrapped around her neck. She wasn't breathing. She was turning blue. My father took the goat hoof shears and cut the cord from around her neck, and that was when she took her first breath. From that point on, I called her my little miracle, but I had no idea just how much of a demon that child really was." Now, despite her family loving her and supporting her in every way, they noticed that Jeanette was displaying some very concerning behavior. Something was wrong with her. Jeanette began abusing animals and other children, and at 4 years old, she threw her baby cousin out of a window, permanently disabling him. At 7, she stole razor blades from a store, broke them up, and put them in her mom's food, but luckily her mom found them before she ate it. She lured a little boy out to the creek bridge, pushed him off the bridge, broke his leg, and left him there. He wasn't found until 3 days later. So, of course, all throughout school, Jeanette was a big bully, and she was constantly beating up and threatening other kids. By the time Jeanette was 9 years old, she had a long history of killing family pets. She killed 5 dogs, 6 cats, 4 goldfish, 17 rabbits, 7 hamsters, and 2 parrots. Why in the hell would her family keep giving her more pets? They were enabling a serial killer. Jeanette was 10. She lured 2 of her cousins and their dog out in the woods, and she's all 3 of them. The 2 cousins did survive, but the dog didn't, and she stole his tail. They never found it. They were kicked out of church after Jeanette was caught stealing money from the collection plate and feeding it to the toddlers in Sunday school, and she was also caught choking 2 other children. She couldn't be left alone with anyone. Jeanette's mom said, "For whatever reason, I felt like I messed up with Jeanette. So when she was 10, me and my husband began trying for another child." Why would you bring another child around this demon? When Jeanette was 12, we had our son.
Dark things Disney doesn't want you to know, Part 4. Today, let's talk about the mysterious disappearance of Rebecca Corium. Rebecca Corium was a 24-year-old worker on the Disney Wonder cruise ship. On March 22, 2011, while working on the cruise ship, Rebecca disappeared without a trace. This is one of the last photos taken of her, and it was from CCTV footage. At 5:45 a.m. that morning, footage revealed Rebecca talking on the phone with someone. She seemed visibly distressed. Now here's where it gets twisted. Many people believe that Disney knows exactly what happened to Rebecca, but are trying to cover up this whole thing. Let me explain. For starters, the captain of the ship said that Rebecca was just washed over by a big wave. They then gave Rebecca's parents a sandal and said that this was hers and it was retrieved from the deck that she was last seen on. Number one, the sandal wasn't her size. Number two, it wasn't her style. It was also revealed that Disney had edited the CCTV footage. Check out part 2 on this case for more information.
Today I'm going to show you one of the scariest things on the internet. When is the last time any of you guys have actually checked your spam folder? Well, today I got really bored and I was checking my emails and I clicked on my spam folder and I came across this. This is a spam email and it is basically threatening me that if I don't send $1,300, they're going to ruin my life. Firstly, I already know you and all of your loved ones very well. Secondly, the occasion for which I'm writing to you is not the happiest one for a friendly greeting. The next part of this email then proceeds to tell me that it has access to my webcam and that it's been monitoring my activity for the last few months and I've been up to some not good things. Apparently, I've been watching a highly controversial video, they recorded it. Then they proceed to tell me that they have access to my entire contact list and they're going to be sending this controversial video they recorded of me to all my friends, colleagues, and family. Here is the bad part. I can go further and put all of these files as well as the recorded fun of you and your hacked contents with hardcore videos. Then they proceed to say, send me $1,300 and I won't send it. Well, they got me really interested. Because I was like, there's no way people are actually dumb enough to fall for this scam, right? They have made a total of $4,547. So that makes me wonder, what type of videos are these people who are sending the money watching? Look, I'm not telling people to do this, but they've made about $5,000 in like 4 days. Not that bad. But the real question is, what type of videos were these people watching where they felt scared enough to actually send the money? Be sure to like and follow for more videos tomorrow.
This little boy lost his life by treadmill due to his father. So this man is currently on trial for this. So I just watched the video, and on the video, the little boy seems to be walking for a long time. The father walks over, speeds up the treadmill while talking to the little boy. Then he speeds it up some more. Then he inclines it, and the little boy is struggling. You can see his little legs just going as fast as they can to keep up with the treadmill. Like he's full on sprinting, and at some point, he can't keep up, and he falls off. Like he just rolls off the treadmill and hits the ground. The father picks him up, tosses him back on the treadmill, bites him on top of the head while holding him down on the treadmill and making his feet keep up with the speed. As soon as the father lets him go, he rolls off the treadmill again, bumps his head, hits the floor. He jumps up, gets back on the treadmill, tries to keep up with it again, falls. He repeats this about 3 or 4 times. That's where the father is biting him on the head right there. So eventually the father does slow the treadmill down and brings the incline down, but he makes the boy continue to run. So the father and the mother does have like some type of joint custody, shared custody type of situation, I guess. And the mother is the first one to report the injuries to Child Protection. And she tells him to take their son to the hospital, and he does. While at the hospital, that's when the little boy revealed that his father made him run on the treadmill because he was fat. This little boy is little, even if he was fat. And so the next day when they wake up, the little boy is stumbling, he's slurring his words, he's nauseous, so he does rush him to the hospital. And while they're getting a CT scan, the little boy has a seizure, and they have to take life-preventing measures, and they were unsuccessful. The little boy did pass away. Now, the autopsy revealed that there were blunt force injuries. It was cardiac and liver contusions, sepsis. There was lacerations on his heart and liver. Now, if you go to YouTube and watch the video, because his father is currently on trial, and it shows the video, when y'all see how hard this little boy kept hitting that treadmill when he fall, and the way his dad would put him back on there, you'll see why he had the injuries that he had. And they have offered the father a 30-year plea deal, and he turned it down. They got footage. I'm glad he turned it down. He gonna get even more time.
He's just his own kid, man. People are just
3
monsters.
children were found in a basement wrapped like mummies. In 2003, the Pasadena area was shaken when 4 young children went missing over an 18-month period. There were no witnesses, no leads, and this left the entire community terrified. The case finally broke when police received a 911 call from a boy who went by the name of Mikey and said, "My mom is scaring me." Sheriff Robert Miller went to the home for what should have been a routine welfare check, but he never made it out. He was later found deceased inside and mauled so badly that investigators never really knew what exactly happened to him. Once police arrived, they started searching the home and they went down in the basement, and that's when they discovered 3 of the missing children. Each one was deceased and they were wrapped in fabric like mummies, and they were placed in disturbing positions. The person behind these kidnappings was Abigail Reed, and she wasn't in the basement. She was found upstairs in a hollow hallway. In the kitchen, investigators had discovered a handwritten note that they believed that Abigail had wrote. The note said, "The 4th one is different. He's drawn to the darkness. He'll survive because he's the one." The 4th child that she is talking about is that young boy who called 911, whose real name is Michael Morris. During captivity, Abigail had brainwashed him into thinking that she was his real mother. Police had discovered him locked in a closet, malnourished, and deeply traumatized. After that incident, Michael had spent nearly 20 years in a psychiatric hospital in San Bernardino County. But in October of 2024, he was released. Around that same time, Abigail's younger sister Alice was promoting a book about her sister's life and crimes, and all of that publicity triggered Michael. On Halloween night, Michael had attacked Alice in her home, unalived her boyfriend before heading to the TV studio where she had just appeared. Once he was there, he opened fire and unalived 7 people before stabbing the host, Jennifer Novak. Jennifer fought back, turned the knife on him, and stabbed him in the face. Michael survived, was arrested, and is currently awaiting trial in 2026. To this day, Michael has never really explained what happened inside of that house, and in fact, he has never spoken a single word since that incident. But here's the twist, none of this is real. The missing children, the disturbing note, the boy who never spoke, even the Halloween massacre, it's all a part of a chilling plot for a brand new horror movie called Chromatica. This film blends horror with the realism of true crime to make you think that this was just ripped from the headlines. And that's what makes it so terrifying.
The child is believed to have been abducted from his home.
Don't make a sound. If I can hear you or see you, then the monster will come and get you.
You look nervous.
Chromatica hits theaters September 12th, so let me know if you're gonna go see it.
I mean, give me scary vibes, bro.
Dis-moi qui est le plus beau, qui t'a devenir mégalo. Viens donc chatouiller mon ego. Allez, allez, allez.
We ain't going to sleep. Not with you looking like that, bro. The dog's
37. The first use of a slow-motion replay in television was during the gruesome boxing match between Benny Paret and Emil Griffith. Benny never recovered from the fight and died 10 days later due to brain hemorrhaging. Aga Muhammad Khan was an 18th century Persian king who ordered the execution of 2 servants for being too loud. He decided to postpone their execution to avoid doing it on a holy day. He let them return to their duties and they killed him that very same night. Alfred Lowenstein was the 3rd richest person in the world in the 1920s. This was due to his investments in electric power and artificial silks. While on a trip to Brussels on his private aircraft in 1928, he went to the rear of the plane to use the bathroom but never returned. When his secretary went looking for him, they discovered that the bathroom was empty but the entrance door to the plane was flapping open. His body was discovered about a week later, and an autopsy revealed he had a partial fracture in his skull and several broken bones. They concluded that he was still alive when he hit the water in the English Channel. A test was done on his aircraft and it was found that it was impossible for someone to accidentally fall out of the door. Although many theories exist, what actually happened happened to him still remains a mystery to this day.
If you believe in God, stay away from Halloween. Muslims, Christians, or anyone who believes in God, Halloween is a pagan festival. It involves evil spirits, jinns, and shaitan. It is forbidden for Muslims and real Christians to know the truth. Please do not associate with it and stay away. Share this everywhere, spread awareness.
Most disturbing Halloween facts. So you all remember when you were kids and you went trick-or-treating and your parents would try to check your candy for razor blades, and we all kind of just thought it was a myth. But really, it is true. In Ohio, one Halloween night, a child was sorting through their Halloween candy when they cut their finger on a blade in the candy bag. They went to the hospital for stitches and no one else was injured. The blade was hidden inside of the wrapper of a candy bar. The same night in Waterbury, Connecticut, police arrested a man after razor blades were found in the bottom of 2 trick-or-treater candy bags.
So that's where it comes from. That story, that folklore story, I remember hearing that be like, my parents be checking, you know, kids' candy because they want to make sure nothing's in it. It started all the way back then. Okay. Relearning.
This is the scary truth behind Halloween. Okay, so everybody knows how on Halloween, everybody dresses up in a costume.
Yeah.
But the original Halloween costumes were a lot creepier. When Halloween first started, people would wear animal heads and skin. They did this because they hoped that the costumes would make wandering spirits think that they are spirits also, and then let them free. This is actually pretty creepy, and I wonder what happened to make them think like this. Thank God it's not like that anymore.
Could you imagine somebody...
Never stick your tongue out for 10 minutes. Curious facts you didn't know. Each time you take a step, you're using about 200 different muscles. In the United Kingdom, a pregnant woman can pee anywhere she wants, including in a policeman's helmet. Every year, goats cause more deaths than sharks. However, sharks get much more attention in the media. You would never know that a child has 98 more bones than an adult. Someone you spoke to today is speaking ill of you behind your back. It's the first person who appears when you press the green icon below. Swipe everything to the right and go to the More option. There you will find the person. The inventor of the light bulb, Thomas Edison, created it because he was afraid of the dark. Ants have 2 stomachs, one to store food for themselves and another to store food for other ants. The newest country in the world is South Sudan, which was declared in 2011. So you are older than a country. It has been scientifically proven that being alone for a long time is as bad for your health as smoking 35 cigarettes a day. About 30 million people have the same last name as you. What's your last name? See in the comments who else shares it with you. If a drop of water entered your heart, it would stop functioning completely. Curious facts you didn't know. Believe it or not, in a country called Finland, it is illegal to kill mosquitoes. And if you do so, you can be sentenced to up to 3 years in prison. When you find yourself thinking too much about a person, it's because that person is also thinking about you. A 24-year-old man set a world record for keeping his eyes open without blinking for 1 hour and 13 minutes. There are more people dead at the bottom of the sea than in the largest cemetery in the world. Did you know that a baby has 206 more bones than adults? Someone you talked to today has just spoken ill of you behind your back. They are the 5th person who appears when you press the green icon below, swipe everything to the right, and go to the More option. There you will find the person. When you walk, your body is using approximately 200 muscles. About 70% of people have the same last names, but nobody knows it. What's your last name? Also, check the comments to see who else has the same last name as you.
Interesting.
If you're left-brained, you'll see 2 people hugging, but if you're right-brained, you'll see a dinosaur. So which do you see in the photo above?
It's that time of the year, so let's look at the ancient origins of Halloween. The origins of Halloween go back thousands of years to the ancient Celtic pagans. They celebrated a festival called Samhain, meaning end of summer. It basically marked the end of harvest and the beginning of the darker times of the year, so the colder times. They believed that on Samhain, the boundaries between the world of the living and the world of the dead become blurred. And so the return of the undead to our world is celebrated with fire. The crops were burnt and druids will light a big bonfire. The druids were basically Celtic pagan priests, and it's believed that on Samhain they could predict the future.
This is the scary story about Halloween candy. On Halloween night, there was a woman giving out candy all night. As it grew darker and darker, things began to calm down. When it seemed like nobody else was going to be coming, the woman went inside and called it a night. She was just about to turn off the porch light when somebody knocked on the door. She thought it was too late for children to still be out, but she grabbed a handful of candy and opened the door. There were 2 children standing on the porch, but they weren't wearing any costumes. They were the strangest children she had ever seen. Their skin was waxy and ghostly white, and their eyes were completely black, and their teeth were too big to fit in their mouth. The confused woman then said, "What are you guys supposed to be, monsters?" "No," said the children. "Tonight we are dressed as humans." A chill ran down the woman's spine as she shut the door. The children began to bang on the door and scream. The woman then looked through the peephole, but the children were gone, and the road was completely empty. The woman moved houses and never took part in Halloween ever again.
Smart move.
The craziest Halloween houses you've ever seen. Someone turned their house into a castle and it comes with a dragon. This person made a UFO crash site in their front yard. You have to love Halloween to put that much effort into it. This guy built a huge scarecrow, and look how small he is compared to it. That's gigantic. Someone put a skeleton on the road and made it look like it's coming out of the ground. Before I show you the best one, I just found a way to prank your friends by replacing their text with whatever you want. If you want to prank your friends, press here on my profile, then press change your friends' text messages. And finally, I really don't like spiders, but this was very well done.
It's the most craziest, I guess, decorations you've seen. Me personally, it's probably a scarecrow. That was way too big. I don't know how that man did it.
If you break one of Sam's rules this Halloween, don't say I didn't warn you. Sam is the spirit of Halloween and appears in a new town every single year. He is known to have 4 rules of Halloween. Always give out candy, wear a costume, never blow out a jack-o'-lantern, and number 4, check your candy. Sam goes to different towns to ensure that Halloween traditions are continued and punishing those who ignore it. Sam is very much like a child, always getting in trouble and loves chocolate. Sounds like me. Now remember, as long as you respect Halloween, you should not get a visit from Sam.
The scariest urban legends around the world. Russia. Baba Yaga.
John Wick.
Serbia. Serbian dancer.
Interesting. Seen some clips of her.
Japan. Tick tick.
Tick tick.
Arizona. Skinwalker.
We've seen a bunch of Skinwalker clips.
West Virginia. Mothman. Maryland. Goatman.
The Goat Man? Never heard that before.
Is it just me or Halloween's dying? Think about it. When we were kids, bro, everyone was in the spirit, man. Everyone would decorate their house. Everyone would carve pumpkins. And I don't know, I feel like nowadays, I don't even see people with pumpkins outside, bro. I find it sad, man. Because our community of kids is growing by the day. And if you really think about it, we should be more in the spirit than ever. I swear I can't be the only one that feels that way, bro. We all have to be engaged as a community, bro. So if you're the only one that hasn't dressed up for Halloween, or at least did something for Halloween, come on, man.
Here are some Halloween facts that you've never heard before. 1 in 4 adults in the United States pretend not to be home when trick-or-treaters knock on their door. Every 19 years, there's a full moon on Halloween. The next one will be in 2039, which means yes, the last one was in 2020. The largest pumpkin ever was bred in a garden in Switzerland. It weighed 950 kilograms or more than 2,000 pounds, which is the weight of a small car. The world's longest haunted house is the Haunted Cave in Lewisburg, Ohio, at 3,564 feet long and 80 feet underground. Hocus Pocus was initially titled Halloween House and was more of a horror than a comedy. Tootsie Rolls were given to soldiers in battle during the Korean War because they provided much needed energy and satisfied hunger, especially when other rations were frozen solid due to the extreme sub-zero temperatures. They also used Tootsie Rolls to plug bullet holes in vehicles and fix leaking radiators by molding the warm candy into patches that would refreeze and hold. The Beverly Hills City Council Council unanimously banned the use of shaving cream, silly string, and hair removal products for people under the age of 21 for 24 hours every year on Halloween. Why would they want to do that? What can you do with that stuff? Samhain phobia is what the fear of Halloween is officially called. Harry Houdini died from a ruptured appendix on Halloween night in 1926. Candy corn was originally called chicken feed, and the reason for this is because when it first appeared around the late 1800s, that just happened to be a time when over half of America's workforce were farmers. Because of this, candies were often made into agricultural shapes such as chicken feed, which we now think of as corn shapes. We changed it to candy corn after World War I when corn became viewed as food people would actually eat. The fruit, the apple they got, would determine their future mate. Bobbing for apples is apparently one of the longest on-running traditions from Halloween, and I don't think I've done it in over 20 years. Maybe we should do it again.
A cop passed away after a criminal spits in her face, then the police revealed the shocking cause. Reina was an extremely responsible police officer who worked in Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. Together, Reina and her partner, Officer Michael, were almost always together wherever they went. One day while on the job, Reina heard a man screaming on the street corner and decided to approach him. Upon approaching the man, he became extremely violent, and after he was arrested, he spit in Reina's face. Reina kept calm and continued working every single day until one day she became too weak and passed out on the floor. She was immediately rushed to the hospital, but unfortunately passed away. Doctors began running tests to see what could have caused her sudden passing, and what they found left them absolutely shocked. Hit the plus for part 2.
Trick-or-treating started in Scotland and Ireland in the 1600s, and it was originally called guising. The purpose was for a kid to go door to door and perform a trick or an act in return for a treat. This tradition lasted until the 1900s. This is when the tradition began to spread and made its way to North America, where it adopted the term trick-or-treating. And over time, it became less about doing tricks at the door and more about saying trick-or-treat.
I understand that Halloween is based on pagan origins, right? So we look at that and some people say, well, it's a pagan holiday, so why would you celebrate Halloween if you celebrate your worship and things like that? Well, first thing I want to celebrate is, man, Martin Luther nailed the 95 Theses to the church. Like, that's such a cool part of church history. Like, that's a cool thing to look at. Now, that's not necessarily a part of Halloween. It's like, man, on October 31st, you also have that has occurred. But when it comes to Halloween, my first question is, what are you dressing up as, and what are you celebrating? There are probably people that still celebrate it like a pagan holiday. Satanism is real. There are pagans that worship pagan religions. So it's like, man, what are you doing? What's your heart posture? Is it like, oh, is the little 8-year-old boy that dresses up as Spider-Man that goes and gets Kit Kats and candy corn? Like, is that kid worshiping a pagan holiday? In my eyes, I'm like, man, that kid probably can't even spell pagan. He can't spell paganism. Like, what's that kid doing?
Don't
His
know.
heart's so pure. He's probably dressing up as his favorite superhero, and he's going to get some Hershey chocolate kisses. And we're so worried about people dressing up as Spider-Man and Superman more than we are unrepentant sin, and more than we are like people knowing Jesus. Like, yes, do I think people still celebrate Halloween in a very negative way and worship pagan gods? Absolutely. But I definitely think there are still a lot of people that just put out candy because it's tradition, and they walk around in costumes and things like that, and that are harmless.
Happy Halloween. Here are some.
See, because you guys celebrate Halloween? I remember when I was younger, man. I kind of, wasn't allowed because what he said, or I guess what it kind of represented, but I don't know. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on that.
Horror movie hot takes that get progressively hotter. For example, the Rob Zombie Halloween movies, I'm not like their biggest defender, but they're much better than what everyone says. In fact, I'll go as far as to say they are better than these two movies. I love both, but the twist in Orphan is better than the twist in Saw. That is all I'm going to say. When it comes to remakes, I really love the original Ring, but I think the American remake is slightly better. This year's Speaking of Evil is a good remake. The original is better. Rapid fire best and worst of movies and franchises. In Final Destination, the best is the second, and the worst is the fourth one. For Scream, the best is the first one, but the worst, I'm going to say Scream 5. For Saw, the best is the second one, and the worst is Jigsaw. I love both Hereditary and Midsommar, but I have to live my truth. I think I'm more of a Midsommar guy. For movies where I just don't understand the hype, As above, so below. I've tried so many times, but I'm really glad people love it. Also, The Black Phone, kind of the epitome of average. Two best horror movies so far this year are The First Omen and Longlegs. Longlegs being the one that's probably the more divisive pick. If I were to do a Mount Rushmore of the best horror villains introduced in the 21st century, it would go like this: Jigsaw or Billy the Puppet and Art the Clown. Art the Clown, I think, has earned his spot. Then I would go Samara from The Ring, and I think Valak from The Conjuring. Now, if I were to expand that and go to the best horror villains of all time, that list is different. Michael and Freddy make the list not really that crazy. But in third and fourth, I would go Chucky and the Xenomorph. I know, but again, live your truth. And then out of all the horror movies that come out in like the last 20 years, the most disturbing one isn't Terrifier 3 or Sinister. The answer is actually Tusk. It's the only movie that's made me want to reach into my brain, take out the memory of me watching it, and never think about it ever again.
Really?
Iron Eyes Geeks presents Lighthouse.
You know that's cat.
Fun fact, Halloween traces its roots back more than 2,000 years to the Celtic festival of Samhain, which ended on November 1st and marked the start of their new year. The Celts believed that on the night of October 31st, the separation between the world of the living and the dead was thinnest and would allow the spirits of the dead to walk among them. So they would leave offerings and light bonfires for the spirits, and also dress up, hoping the dead spirits wouldn't recognize them. In the 7th century, when the Catholic Church began converting pagan holidays into Catholic ones, they changed November 1st into All Saints' Day, but the night before still had bonfires and costumes under its new name, All Hallows' Eve. In 16th century England, people would go door to door on All Saints' Day and offer to pray for the homeowner's dead loved ones in exchange for food, cakes, or money. In Scotland and Ireland, children would dress up in costumes and go door to door and sing or recite poetry in exchange for treats. As people immigrated to the US, they brought Hallows' Eve with them, but Halloween didn't really take off until after the Second World War, and the commercialism boom of the 1950s turned it into what it is today.
Gruesome facts you didn't know on 242. August of 2022, Rebecca Vance, her 13-year-old son, and her sister Christine ventured into the Colorado wilderness wanting to live off the grid. With little to no preparation, amateur survival skills, and simply watching a few YouTube videos, the trio was never seen again. It wasn't until July of this year that a hiker stumbled across their mummified bodies at their campsite. The coroner believes they didn't even make it through the winter. In 2009, James Washington was serving a 15-year prison sentence in Tennessee when he suffered a heart attack. Believing he was on his deathbed, he confessed to a guard that he had beaten a woman to death. He survived, and the cold case of Joyce Goodner was reopened following his confession. When he recovered, he tried to take his confession back. He received an additional 51 years behind bars.
Something about people, man, when the end is near, they want to get truthful.
How the hell is this even real? It may not be news for you, but it is for me, so I'm talking about it. 24 years ago, The Simpsons dropped an episode where Lisa is the first female president of the United States, and she's not only wearing a purple suit, but also pearls. Look familiar? And to make the coincidence even crazier, they dropped this line.
As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump. How bad is it, Secretary Van Houten?
Now, to be fair, Trump did actually run in 2000, which is probably where they got that reference from. But regardless, if Kamala wins and says those words while wearing a purple suit at that desk, I think the world would implode.
Right!
What is it about freaking Simpsons mapping out the future before it even happened? There's something going on behind the scenes, man. Whew.
Comes the implosion!
Implosion? But I thought you said...
Deadliest computer viruses in the world, Part 9. The WinXP Horror Edition virus. You're gonna remember this one while you sleep tonight. Malware that disguises itself as a Windows update. No further explanation needed. The best way to understand is to experience it. Right-click open. Let's infect this bitch. The PC restarts and we hop right into stage 1. Fake system update. Windows appears to be installing an update, but it's all a ploy. Looks like we're getting close, but it stops at 66%. And then, error message. Setup cannot copy the file ntdll.dll. Setup will use the file 666.sys. Okay, I guess. This initiates stage 2, Windows theme hijack. Our entire theme gets swapped to this red background creepy eye looking thing as the update continues. This ominous music begins to play with the message, "Don't look behind you." This time the update actually hits 100% and we're gonna... Oh, okay. First jump scare here with a static noise and a glitchy transition. The theme hijack continues with this skeleton boot loading screen until we get to my favorite part. The classic Windows XP start sound. Let me know if you're old enough to remember that, but with a nice horror sounding twist to it. We finally get to the desktop where the red theme goes on and the entire wallpaper's been replaced with skulls. Our entire PC is wiped except for my computer, this file named nothing, another one called don'topenme.txt, and recycle bin at the very bottom. And we're going to be opening all of these to see where they take us. But first, it gets worse. Stage 3, screen flashes. We get these scary ass photos that continuously flash in the background. Oh, nice. The start menu icon says dead. Click it and our user profile is 666. And there we have more screen flashes, but let's have a bit of fun now. We'll start by... Oh, looks like my cursor turned into an eyeball here, but yeah, let's open up nothing and keep this virus going. Okay, so the music changed and... Oh, there's stage 4, horror animation. This unsettling flash animation era, creepy pasta cartoon takes over the whole screen and you're just kind of forced to watch it. I'm gonna fast forward it for you guys, but the animation is called The Sad Man by Jake Lava that tells the story of this lonely masked creature that I guess befriends a little girl. It's low-key kind of giving Salad Fingers. A huge throwback if you remember Salad Fingers. That's some OG internet shit right there, and also you old as fuck. Anyway, the girl unmasks the creature to find out he's got a Duanussy on his face, and he eats her. Animation ends, and we're back to desktop. The nothing file is all glitchy now. Honestly, that's a pretty cool looking effect. The animator did a great job with that. Screen flashes continue, but let's open the next file. Don'topenme.txt. Classic horror movie music plays with the message, "Congratulations, you opened me. Do you want to play a game? Okay, then look behind you." I don't know why I keep saying that. But we've entered stage 5, I guess. Game over. You think you're in the clear, and then another jump scare, I believe from a horror video game called Granny, followed by the text on screen, game over. Back to desktop, and this file is glitching now too, but let's open my computer. Surely that should work just fine, right? Nope, we get this message. Do you seriously want to trash your computer forever? Nice. Let's say no, I don't want to do that. Oh, well, that option just disappeared. Yes is our only choice now. I guess there's no escape with this one. Actually, let's just close the prompt and forget we ever opened it. Unfortunately, once you click it, nothing can stop the inevitable stage 6, computer meltdown. My computer just got tossed into the recycle bin, and now... Yeah, okay, one more jump scare, sorry about that. Followed by what looks like a fake red screen of death message that just kind of repeats over and over again. Yup, this sure ain't looking good. Oh, and now finally, the official blue screen of death, and our computer is cooked. If you restart now, the virus's final payload overwrites the master boot record, MBR, meaning this entire PC is now essentially just an image of an eye, along with the message, "I'm watching you," and the virus creator's name. Happy Halloween, motherfuckers. Sleep tight tonight.
It's happening in the world right now. A hospital in Maine had a computer system error that sent death letters to over 500 living patients. Kim Kardashian blamed ChatGPT for failing her law exams. The Louvre's video security system password when the heist happened was Louvre. The Prime Minister in Japan says that she's sleeping only 2 to 4 hours a night amid criticism over the entire work culture of the country. A man who cryogenically froze his wife is now facing criticism after finding new love. There is a new app that lets you talk to AI avatars of deceased loved ones. The inventor of Linux says vibe coding with AI is okay, unless it's used for anything that matters. A woman's entire driveway was stolen when she was trying to sell her house, and now she's just left with a rocky road as she tries to find who did it. Microsoft has publicly warned that their new AI software installing on Windows 11 could install malware onto your computer. The tech company Cognizant now is saying that they're going to monitor their employees' laptops and determine them idle after only 5 minutes.
You can't trust what you're buying at the grocery store anymore.
So, here's what you want to look for. Well, here's what you make sure you don't want to see in your apple. When you have 4 there, that means it's covered and coated in pesticides, and it's covered with a wax.
This is what that 4 means. That's what you're using.
Wax coating?
Plastic.
That ain't good. You know how hard it is?
You eat an apple, you're eating a layer of wax and plastic that's around the apple. Only get your food that starts with a 9, not a 4.
I really feel like this is being done to the food deliberately. Of course they want all this bad stuff in our body. Microplastics, pesticides. Stay weird, y'all.
Watch
When
for
was
the
the last
9.
time you saw Kelly Osbourne? Why do I ask? Because Kelly Osbourne took to Instagram and uploaded a video. And when the video was released, her fans were confused. Why do I say that? Because she was unrecognizable in the video. If you haven't seen the video or the images or don't know what I'm talking about, have a look at this.
Hello, I'm Kelly Osbourne, and I just want to take a second to thank the people of Birmingham.
Who is that in the video? Is that Kelly Osbourne? I came across a few comments on the video that kind of made a lot of sense. So many lookalikes, but where are the originals? This was Kelly Osbourne not too long ago. So who is this Kelly Osbourne that appeared in that video? So the question needs to be asked, has Hollywood claimed another celebrity? And as I say in all my videos, I understand that people can age and people can change.
Naturally.
But these celebrities are just not looking the same. So I guess my question to you is, what is going on with Kelly Osbourne? Has Hollywood claimed another celebrity? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
People have just found out why this is one of the scariest things on Earth. This thing literally looks like a small piece of spaghetti or even a hair, but this is extremely, extremely dangerous. It is a horsehair worm, it's not a hair, and it's basically compound V or a zombie virus. Great, great. These things come from algae and dirt in the water, and they literally need water to survive, so bear that in mind. They go on land and they then infect all kinds of insects and bugs, crickets, manatees, beetles, all of those guys. But once it grows inside of the insect, it takes control of the host, and what does it need? Water to survive. So it takes over its host's brain and forces itself to get into water so it can survive. Even if these things cannot swim, have never swum in their life, and it's not in their nature, the moment the insect hits the water, it most likely dies, and this thing just comes straight back out and goes on its way to infect another one. Pretty much possessing bugs and insects and things that they get into, which is really scary that that is actually possible, and can take control of their brain. Luckily to humans, they can make you pretty sick, obviously, if you just scan it and thinking it is a piece of spaghetti, but it's not going to have the same effect of taking over your brain. But if it can do it to a bug, imagine what else could be out there that could do the same to us.
The world is... So we got zombies in nature, bro. That's actually crazy to think about, man. Maybe not, you know, the traditional zombie you see, but if you can eat brains on TV and crap, but that's scary, bro. It literally forces you to go into water. Glad that can affect us humans, man. I can sleep better at night now, bro.
Is busy arguing about politics, Chinese scientists just quietly de-aged monkeys. Let me try and explain this in American. Is at the very center of the aging process are your stem cells. Think of them as construction workers, and your body is the city. When the city is young with no corrupt politicians, these workers, they show up in hordes. They fix potholes, keep the streets clean, and build houses for the homeless. But as the city ages and the politicians start to become corrupt, insert your choice of Republican or Democrat, your construction workers start turning up. This causes buildings to become run down, trash starts piling up on the streets. Heck, some of those construction workers are now dealing Fent to the homeless. So, this team of Chinese scientists from CCMU said, let's try and create a brand new special type of construction worker that resists these corrupt politicians and maintain the city no matter what. And so they created a new type of human stem cell. And all you need to know, it's called SRCs for short. Then, over the next 44 weeks, they injected these SRC cells into macans that were the equivalent age of humans in their 60s and 70s. And what they discovered is remarkable. Not only did these new stem cells reverse key signs of aging in 10 major body systems, but they also presented minimal to no negative side effects. No tissue damage, no tumors, no fevers, no weight loss. And at the end of this 44-week trial, these grandpa monkeys, their brains worked better. Their bones were stronger. Their tissues showed less damage. They grew new, healthy cell populations in their brain and reproduced reproductive organs. Even their sperm production was improved. Hey, yo! Now what makes this even more exciting is that this study was published in Cell, which is a highly revered journal where the peer review standards are rigorous. And this was achieved on monkeys, which are much more similar to humans, because the majority of anti-aging studies are done on mice or other simpler organisms. Now, there are some caveats. Because their findings are novel, meaning the first of their kind, there is no replication yet. They also weren't very clear on the sample size. Was this 3 monkeys? Was this 100? And also, just because it's showing promising results in monkeys doesn't necessarily mean that it will work the same for humans. But I don't know. After Xi and Putin recording on a hot mic talking about living forever, something's going on.
This ain't flowers, y'all. This is chess. And 50 Cent just exposed the first move. 50 Cent ain't posting this for jokes. He posting this to show this was a message sent to him by P. Diddy. It was a warning wrapped in flowers. 50 Cent is a smart man, y'all. He know what he doing. He made this shit public to let y'all know. Think about it, y'all. Why would P. Diddy send 50 Cent flowers? He did this after he dropped the little documentary on him on Netflix. Diddy wasn't too happy about it. He tried to get the joke removed, but Netflix said, nah, we not removing it. The timing in the entertainment world is everything, y'all. 50 Cent is basically saying it without saying it. Like, if something weird happened to me, y'all know who did it. This man created a digital receipt. That's his protection. I'm not saying it's gonna fully protect him, and I'm not saying that he gonna do anything or have anything done. I'm just letting y'all know. But by him doing this and putting this out, he like, the whole world, y'all see this. So everybody is going to be paying attention. No little crazy mishaps can really go on without somebody knowing. Maybe Diddy had something to do with it.
The wall. That's freaking. That whole Diddy situation is crazy. I actually heard yesterday, man, that when 50 Cent he did his interview, he did it at a news station where like the prisoners actually can see the interview, because that's actually one of the few stations that I guess the prisons allow them to watch, man. I just kept saying, bro, there's like people don't believe in 50 Cent, man, because that's actually crazy, bro. He made a whole doc, put it on Netflix, got paid and probably good amount for that too, man. Because you know 50 Cent and Diddy be beefing, bro. That whole situation is crazy, man. You know Diddy have 4 dicks right now. I think that's serving out the rest of his sentence, so I wonder if he's seen it yet.
Benin is like one of the world's largest structures, but I've never known about it. And it was in Nigeria. It was the capital city, but they made interconnecting walls that stretched over 10,000 miles. And it was all man-made, and it was like one of the world's largest structure. But the British destroyed it in 1897 when they were colonizing it. But that's enough wall to circle the United States 3 times.
It says 4 times longer than the Great Wall of China.
How have I never heard of that? That's what I'm saying. Dude, we gotta dig into that. Even the people of Nigeria now, they don't even know about it. So like people are trying to like discover more about it to teach them of their ancient culture and stuff.
It started in 800 AD and continued until 1460 AD.
Yeah, they said it took 150 million man hours to build. 10,000
very little remains today. How is that possible?
Because the British destroyed it.
All of it.
Imperialism. That just seems like more effort to destroy 10,000 miles worth of wall.
For real though.
And just like leave it.
It's the Guinness.
Walk around it.
It's the Guinness Book of World Records. World's largest man-made structure by length.
Is that not insane?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
$1 trillion.
Wow, never knew that.
For 10 minutes with Jesus. Now you understand that $1 trillion, that's generational wealth. That's world-changing money. That's my grandkids will never ever clock in money. But 10 minutes with Jesus. Do you understand what 10 minutes with the source is? 10 minutes with the blueprint. 10 minutes with the man that can tell you where the bag is at. Tell you how to dodge every mistake. The man that can tell you everything about anything.
Preach.
I think I'm going to go with the 10 minutes with Jesus. And I don't blame y'all for picking the $1 trillion. Of course. Who wouldn't pick that shit? But I need them 10 minutes with Jesus. Because hear me out. You grab $1 trillion instantly. What if, just what if, he said, you know what, for this conversation, I'm going to hit you with $1 trillion. And then what if you pick that $1 trillion? And then you still had to talk to him, and he was like, yo, I know you picked that $1 trillion over me, right? Nah, I take Jesus. You know how much clarity you probably get just from having that conversation? The questions that you ask yourself every single night that you can't get answers for, and you're like, yo, you know what? I'm going to just have to wait till I see him. You going to steal. I feel like this. Any way you answer that question, because it's a hypothetical question, is the right answer for you. I just know what I choose. Some people go their whole life without even knowing their purpose. One conversation, knowing your purpose, knowing your gifts, knowing the reason he put you here, and then he like, yo, you know I'm gonna bless you, right? Take a trillion. Come on, man. That's just me though. I'm out.
Scary videos.
Lady, I'm picking, man. You know, the trillion or 10 minutes with Jesus. We know some people gonna take that trillion without a second thought, man. But like you said, 10 minutes with the maker, talking to him, man, knowing what path your life can take, bro. The knowledge you can gain, the money ain't even worth it, man. You know what I'm choosing, brother? 10 minutes.
That can't be explained. No one can make it to the last one. This man caught a scary figure in his mirror.
How did she get in? You just sitting there, I'm out.
Would you rather spend one night in this bathroom or kiss the third person who shows up when you click share and then more? This couple tried to prank their neighbors but ended up attracting something darker.
What are you doing?
Trying to creep up the neighbors. What if there was just like a face right there?
Only 1% of people can do this. No one can completely spell their name one word at a time down in the comments without being interrupted. First person to do so wins. These people claim they found a witch on a mountain.
She got that effect in her eyes, bro.
In the middle of the floor was a circle filled with like 50 pairs of children's shoes. What? There's ring camera footage. There's this lady. She caught this guy. It seemed like he was trying to go into their house at first, but then he just started tweaking out as if he was possessed. She's trying to talk to him like, leave, I'm calling the police.
I just called the police. Get out front of my door.
Then, behind him, one of the other apartment doors started opening, like, slowly like this. Okay. Closed, and he just, like, walked away. But later, when the lady went to go open the door and look what happened inside that apartment, nobody was there. And look what they found inside that apartment. Weird circle, and there's a whole bunch of children's shoes. Just all over the floor. What's even crazier, a pair of those shoes, the boots, you see the Elsa boots right there? Yeah. Those are her daughters.
Wait, is her daughter missing?
No, her daughter's like with her. Is this kidnapping? Is this a ritual?
He had another head growing right on top of his own, one that could blink and smile independently. And this head was actually his twin that didn't fully separate in the womb. It would cry when he laughed and stare blankly when he slept. Now, each head was actually functioning off of their own separate brains. But when he was 4, the boy was bitten by a snake, and both heads passed away together.
Wow.
Holy fuck.
That look like the damn mind flayer for Stranger Things, bro. I know y'all saw that. Okay, I saw the face.
Holy fuck.
I'm gonna try to pause for y'all. Like right there, bro. I'm not fast enough to get it for y'all, man. The flashes, you can see the eye right there.
Holy fuck.
Alright.
RIP Dr. Pepper is it will now be replaced with Mr. Pibb. And now people are buying as much Dr. Pepper as they can before it's all gone. And this all started about 6 or 7 days ago when people were initially saying that Dr. Pepper was being completely discontinued. But in reality, the full truth of what's happening to Dr. Pepper is so much more worse. So currently, Dr. Pepper is bottled and distributed by Coca-Cola. However, now Coca-Cola will no longer be distributing Dr. Pepper. But what does this really mean? Well, it now means that any place that was serving Dr. Pepper before, some restaurant owners are saying that since Coca-Cola owns their machine, that they have to get rid of the Dr. Pepper from their fountain, and that they will be switching it out for Mr. Pibb. Not only now will it be like 67,000% more harder to find Dr. Pepper, and now that Mr. Pibb just got a massive rebrand and is already on the shelves right next to Coca-Cola products, now a lot of people are wondering, where are you going to be able to even find Dr. Pepper anymore? Well, it turns out if you are in these cities of California and Nevada, you are most likely going to be immediately cooked. And even though Dr. Pepper isn't completely going away, repost to pay your respects to Dr. Pepper, and comment your most favorite is Sody Pop.
If you look at this part of the world, they believe that human beings are not from Earth. They came from somewhere else. Eve and Adam came from somewhere else to Earth. So in a way, human being alien to this land. Do you think we'll make contact with alien within the next 50 years?
Well, that's a really tough one to say. I mean, if there are super intelligent aliens out there, they're probably already observing us. That would seem quite likely, and we just are not smart enough to realize it. But I could do some back-of-the-envelope calculations, and any advanced alien civilization that was at all interested in populating the galaxy, even without exceeding the speed of light, even if you're only moving at, say, 10 or 20% of the speed of light, you could populate the entire galaxy in, let's say, 10 million years. Maybe 20.
Y'all are finally doing it. You guys are finally cracking the system. Fast food, the same system that's had America in a chokehold for decades, is finally slowing down. People are literally saying that it is now a luxury to eat McDonald's and some of these other fast food spots. After years of viral videos and warning you guys what these fast food places are really all about, you guys are finally listening. And now, because of us, this thing is going downhill really quickly too. It's not just McDonald's.
Talk food and finance. This morning's Money Watch, we are tracking a slump in sales for some of America's fast food giants. Their customers are cutting back on spending because the price of dining out has increased nearly 4% over the past year. Nancy Chen is here with a look at how fast food customers are responding. Nancy, good morning.
Hey Nate, good morning to you. And as part of a daily routine for so many, a breakfast sandwich there, a salad to go there. But now, as their budgets are ballooning, more people are making food at home or even skipping out on meats altogether.
Of all the times you've made it at home, has it ever tasted like our McMuffin?
It turns out, even McDonald's signature McMuffin isn't enough to draw customers in for the most important meal of the day. In earnings calls last week, the fast food giant and its rival Wendy's reported slow breakfast sales, especially among low-income diners, who they say are their core customers.
We're really talking about a fast food market, generally speaking, that is basically tanking right now.
Jonathan Mays is editor-in-chief of Restaurant Business Magazine. Why are customers shying away from fast food breakfast?
Money. Well, the low-income consumer in particular are concerned about the state of the economy. They've been frustrated by prices, hurt by inflation, and breakfast is just an easy thing to cut out.
But it expands beyond that.
New Chipotle Honey Chicken.
Fast casual restaurants like Chipotle and Sweetgreen also saw sales slow in the second quarter, year over year.
If you're seeing Chipotle and Sweetgreen reporting significantly negative same-store sales, that suggests to me that there are more consumers that are really sort of rethinking how often they're eating out at restaurants.
Still, May says that sales slump could ultimately be a win for consumers. Now, Wendy's has Buck Biscuits, as chains are coming up with new promotions and menu items to lure in customers.
They have been introducing a record number of limited time offers. So yeah, I mean, they're really throwing pretty much everything at the wall to see what sticks.
Story of the man who killed Jeffrey Dahmer. Christopher Scarver was a junior in high school when he was kicked out of his mother's house for being an alcoholic. He then took a job as a carpenter in training and was promised that when he completed his training, he'd be hired full-time. Unfortunately, the man who promised him this was let go and replaced by a man named Steve Lohman. Christopher was enraged when he didn't get his job, so he went to Steve demanding his money and shot him in the head 3 times after receiving it. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia and convicted and was sent to life in prison with fellow inmate Jeffrey Dahmer. Dahmer was a convicted serial killer and sex offender who had murdered and eaten over 17 boys. One morning, the two were assigned to clean the prison gym. When Jeffrey turned his back, Christopher murdered him with a 20-inch bar from the weight room. He received 2 additional life sentences, and when asked why he did it, he said that Dahmer made him extremely uncomfortable and wasn't sorry for what he did.
So about 10 minutes ago, there was an update in the disappearance of Nicola Bulley. Nicola went missing last Friday whilst walking her dog near the River Wyre. And just moments ago, police released a CCTV image of a woman walking her dog who they now believe may have been the last person to see Nicola. It's important to note that the police want to talk to this woman as a potential witness and not a potential suspect. In fact, police have now said that they have no reason to suspect that a third party is involved with Nicola's disappearance. Authorities are continuing an extensive search of the river, as well as searching an old abandoned house near to where Nicola went missing. Hopefully, Nicola will be located soon and her family and friends will have answers.
6 teenage boys played a harmless ding-dong ditch prank on this man's home, and just minutes later, 3 of them were dead. On the evening of January 19th, 2020, 6 teenage boys and best friends were having a sleepover and celebrating Jacob Avascu's 16th birthday. Later that night, one of the boys was dared to either jump into a pool or ding-dong ditch somebody's house, and after choosing the latter, they all got into a Prius driven by their 18-year-old friend and picked a random house. The house they chose belonged to 45-year-old Anurag Chandra in Corona, California. Once there, one of the teens hopped out, rang the doorbell, mooned the camera, and then got back into the Prius where they quickly drove off. But this harmless prank angered Anurag so much that he got into his car and started chasing the teens. He was going 99 miles per hour in a 40-mile-per-hour zone, and when he caught up to the Prius, he intentionally rammed into the back and side of it. This caused it to go off the road, quickly slamming into a tree and utility pole. The crash immediately killed Drake Ruiz, Daniel Hawkins, and Jacob Avascu, all 16 years old. According to Anurag, he didn't stop after the crash and proceeded to go home after hitting the kids because he didn't think anyone was hurt. He was arrested at his home later that same night. The driver and 2 other 13-year-olds who were also in the car were injured but survived the crash. During the investigation, Anurag said that the prank angered him so much, but also said that he decided to chase after the teens because he was worried for his family's safety after being mooned. It was also revealed that in the 3 hours before the prank, Anurag consumed 12 beers and was highly intoxicated. Anurag has just been charged with 3 counts of murder and 3 counts of attempted murder and has since pleaded not guilty. He's due back in court on July 14th and faces life in prison without parole. It's also worth noting that at the time of the killings, Anurag was already facing domestic violence and battery charges in an
This video shows...
Man, Ding Dong Ditch, that's a classic, bro. It makes you think twice before playing that game, man. Ding Dong Ditch, I mean, that's how you used to be seeing all those pranks on YouTube. How they be doing that at, like, college campuses. You gotta be careful because obviously some people will take it to the extreme. Try to chase you down.
Kayla Brown chained up in the slave storage container of Todd Kohlhepp, the Amazon review killer. Between 2003 and 2016, he murdered at least 7 people in South Carolina, dropping several clues along the way. He left several reviews on Amazon products that he used in the killings, like this one that reads, "Keep in your car when you have to hide the bodies," and left the full-size shovel at home. In 2016, Kayla and her boyfriend Charles went missing after they went to clean Todd's residence. No one heard from them for months until a post was made to Charles' Facebook page saying that he and Kayla were expecting a baby. Shortly after, an old photo of the couple was posted with the caption, "We are fine." This raised suspicions, leading police to trace these posts to a storage unit on Todd's property. There, they freed Kayla and took Todd into custody, where he bragged about burying several bodies on the property as well, including Kayla's boyfriend. He was given 7 life sentences, 1 for each of his murders, despite him confessing to many, many more.
So he was leaving freaking the clues on Amazon, bro. What the hell? People are bold enough to do something like that, man. They just freaking... They could get away with everything, man. They try to put it in front of our eyes, think we can't see it. Also, man, when people be commenting weird stuff on things, man, you got to just pay close attention to it, man. Because you'll never know their intentions. It could be a joke or it could be something completely sinister.
This is breaking news about Rudy Farias, the Texas teen who went missing 8 years ago and was just found. Apparently, he was never missing, and said his mother was holding him hostage. Rudy reportedly said that his mother forced him to play daddy, drugged him, manipulated him, and abused him the entire 8 years he was missing. A lot of information was just released about an hour ago at a press conference, but let's go back to 2015. On March 6th, 17-year-old Rudy Farias was last seen walking his 2 dogs in northeast Houston. His mother said he never returned home, but they found the dogs safe. Authorities and volunteers searched for him, but they couldn't find him. Rudy's mother, Janie Santana, told police that he suffered from depression and PTSD since losing his brother in a motorcycle accident in 2011. A year before Rudy disappeared, his father, who was a Houston police officer, was facing an internal affairs investigation. Fast forward 3 years to 2018, and relatives of Rudy call police and say they saw Rudy behind another relative's house. Police show up and search, but they don't locate him. 5 years later, Rudy, who is now 25 years old, is found unresponsive outside of a church. According to Janie, her son had cuts and bruises all over his body and blood in his hair. She said her son had been badly beaten and abused. Janie also claimed her son believed he's 14 now and has a completely different identity. But get this, Rudy was found with his mother's credit card that was issued 2 years ago. So how did he get that card if he's been missing for 8 years, like she claims? If that's not weird enough, neighbors of Rudy came forward to the media and said that Rudy was never missing, and he's been living in this house with Janie the entire time. And they know that because Rudy would occasionally walk over to their garage and hang out. When confronted about this, Janie said that the neighbors were confusing Rudy with her nephew. But when they looked at a picture of her nephew, they were like, no, that's not who we saw Rudy. So police want to interview Rudy and find out what has happened the past 8 years. But Janie is saying that her son is nonverbal, which is very far from the truth, because this morning Quinnell X talked to Rudy himself for about an hour and a half. Quinnell X is a community leader and counselor, and he went to mediate an interview between the family and police. When everyone arrived to the hotel, Rudy asked if he could speak to Quinnell alone, away from his mother. And after being separated from his mother, Rudy apparently went into detail about his mother's abuse, and said he was tired of living like a slave. I'm about to play some clips from the press conference that just dropped an hour ago, and just a warning, these details are extremely disturbing.
I honestly believe, based on what he said to us, she was drugging the hell out of this kid. And she convinced him that he was in trouble for initially running away. She would ask him to play daddy. She told him that he had to be the husband. She would force him to sleep in the bed with her.
Go to part 2 if you want to see his entire statement. It's extremely disturbing.
Dude, that's right.
Your statement work right there.
Is that personal?
That's definitely a person.
That's a person.
That's a person.
What happened to 12-year-old Melissa Chavez and how they tried to cover up her murder with a fire. Melissa Chavez was born in 2008 in Coquimbo, Chile to her mother Mirta and her father Dennis. She was the youngest of 4 and she's described as being a very shy, quiet, and reserved child. She didn't really like to go out much. One of her favorite activities was to stay home, go in her room, put her headphones on, and just listen to music. She didn't have that many friends, but everyone says that she was really kind and just a happy little girl. Shortly after Melissa was born, her parents ended up getting a divorce, so now Mirta was a single mother. In order to make ends meet, she got a job working at a local bar called La Chilenita. And while she was working there, she met a man named Luis Santander. Now, Luis was actually in a relationship at the time, so he had a girlfriend, but he decided to leave his girlfriend so he could start dating Mirta, who was 8 years older than him. The 2 of them started dating, and then in 2010, they decided to take the next step and move in together. Eventually got married, and Mirta got pregnant and gave birth to a baby boy. Now, as for Melissa, her older siblings were already gone. They had moved out and, started their own lives. So now Melissa was just living with her mother Mirta, her new stepfather Luis, and then her new half-brother. Everything seemed to be going well, but when Melissa was just 6 years old, she told one of her older sisters that her new stepfather Luis was essaying her. Not only did she tell her sister about this, but she also told her school counselor, and the both of them reported this immediately to her mother Mirta. Now, at first, it honestly seemed like Mirta did believe her daughter. She actually went to the police station and she reported this. However, she later withdrew the report and said that she no longer believed Melissa and that she felt like her daughter was doing this for attention and that she was lying. Yeah, she said this about a 6-year-old little girl reporting her stepfather for essaying her. So even though she withdrew the statement, police still wanted to go through with the investigation because, these are very serious allegations. So they opened an investigation, and in the meantime, they removed Melissa from Mirta's care. This investigation went on for almost 2 years, and the only reason that Melissa was placed back in the custody of her mother Mirta because Mirta told the authorities that she was going to divorce Luis and that he was no longer going to live in the house or be a part of their lives. So, she told police, it's perfectly safe for for Melissa to come back to the house because Luis is no longer going to be there. And authorities and CPS just believed her. They didn't do an investigation to make sure that Mirta was going to divorce him. They didn't go check the house to make sure Luis was no longer there. Nothing. They just believed Mirta, and then they returned Melissa into her custody. They should have done a further investigation because Mirta lied. Luis was still part of their lives. He was still living in the house, and instead of protecting her daughter, she chose this man. November 26, 2020, at around 11:21 in the morning, firefighters and police arrived to Melissa's home after neighbors reported the house on fire. Firefighters went up to the second floor, and when they walked into Melissa's bedroom, they discovered her body lying on the top bunk of her bed. First, firefighters believed that she died due to suffocation from all of the smoke. However, when they got a better view of her body, they realized she didn't die because of the fire. They discovered that she had severe stab wounds to her neck, face, and her body, and that someone tried to cover up the murder with arson. Okay, more in part 2.
This 14-year-old was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, making him the youngest person to ever receive that sentence. So have you ever heard of Lionel Tate? Lionel was born on January 30th of 1988. As he grew up, people described him as having average intelligence, but he did have some street smarts. He did have some behavioral issues, as he had been kicked out of school about 15 times for stealing, lying, and fighting. And it seems like those behavioral issues were never properly addressed. Lionel was also not small. At 12 years old, he was almost 6 foot tall and weighed about 170 pounds. On the night of July 28, 1999, Kathleen, which was Lionel's mother, was asked to watch one of her closest friend's daughters, Tiffany Unick. Tiffany was just 6 years old at the time and was a fraction of the size of Lionel. She only weighed about 48 pounds. Sometime in the evening, Kathleen decided that she wanted to go upstairs to her room and left the 2 younger children alone downstairs. At about 10 p.m., both Lionel and Tiffany were getting kind of noisy, so Kathleen screamed down the stairs telling them to keep the noise down. She did not go downstairs and physically check on the children at this time. But at about 10:40, Lionel goes up to the room and tells Kathleen that Tiffany is not breathing. Lionel told Kathleen that they were play wrestling and that he had Tiffany in a headlock. He says that she then smashed her head onto a side table and then started rolling around on the floor where she urinated herself and was moaning, and he said she was acting like a baby. Lionel says that he left her alone and then sometime later went upstairs to get his mother when he noticed that she was not breathing anymore. By the time Kathleen got down to Tiffany, she was already cold. But upon closer examination, it would be revealed that Tiffany's injuries were far worse. She had bleeding in her brain, a cracked skull, a broken rib. Her kidneys were hemorrhaged. She had a lacerated liver, and she had so many bruises all over her body. A child abuse expert would testify in court saying that the beating had to have lasted about 5 minutes, and it was the equivalent of a fall from a 3-story building. But Lionel claimed that he was just practicing the wrestling moves that he had seen on TV. It would take several years, but in 2001, Lionel would go on trial for first-degree murder, and he would be tried as an adult. I'm going to go to part 2. It will be up down in the comments, but I have to film it first, so give me just a couple of minutes.
The following morning was May 3rd, 2019.
Okay.
Thomas walked into the school cafeteria and asked Ellie's friends if they'd seen her. He'd been looking for her the entire morning, as he wanted to discuss the breakup they had the previous evening. When Thomas heard that Ellie wasn't in school that morning, he wasted no time in trying to find her. He told one of the teachers that he wasn't feeling well, so he walked to the bus station nearby and took a bus back home. When he got to his house, he immediately changed his clothes. He put on a black hoodie and also took off his white sneakers and opted for his black ones. But just as he was about to leave the house, his mother arrived home. It seemed that she had come to pick up something. Thomas didn't want his mother to know that he skipped school, so he hid inside one of his cupboards and stayed there until she left. The minute she left, Thomas got out of the cupboard and took the keys to the family's spare car and set off towards Ellie's home, about a 10-minute drive away. When he got to Ellie's house, he knocked on her front door and told her that he wanted to speak to her. The two allegedly spoke in the kitchen, and an argument soon broke out after Thomas realized that Ellie was serious about the breakup. At some point during the argument, he started strangling Ellie, who was desperately fighting for her life, hitting and scratching Thomas, hoping he would let go. Thomas wasn't letting go, though, and continued to strangle Ellie until she passed out. He then went to grab a knife from the kitchen drawer and repeatedly stabbed Ellie in her neck, a total of 13 times. After he realized that she was dead, he took the knife out of her neck and went to wash it in the basin, making sure that he washed off his fingerprints. He then placed the knife back into Ellie's neck. Thomas then proceeded to clean the crime scene before unlocking Ellie's phone and texting her friend pretending to be Ellie. He told the friend that she was no longer coming to school and that the friend didn't need to pick her up, ensuring that Ellie's body wouldn't be found until at least the afternoon. He then realized that Ellie had left scratch marks on his face and neck, so he set out to create an alibi for him. He posted the message to the group. He then sent a few messages to Ellie's phone, asking if they could meet up and talk about their relationship. At 3 p.m. that afternoon, Ellie's dad had come home from work.
So I pull up in the drive, Ellie's car, a small red car that she was learning to drive and was on the drive. So I come into the house, walk into the kitchen, put my phone and wallet down on the table. And then from the corner of my eye I see Ellie's legs. So I immediately rang for an ambulance, and yeah, they tried to tell me how to resuscitate her, and I told them that it was pointless. I believe she was dead. Yeah, it was horrific.
I just having to walk in and see that, man. Nobody should have to see that. And he was making this elaborate freaking plan story. It seems like he had everything planned out. He knew what he was doing, man. Everything was surgical, strategical. Literally step by step. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I'd really appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up on this video, comment down below. Also, don't forget to hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload my next videos. You guys are going to catch me in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.